In the 1830s, the Rocky Mountain fur trade surges, beaver felt crowns European hats, and the summer rendezvous draws hundreds of trappers into valleys bright with smoke and barter. The price of a single prime pelt can buy a small mountain of coffee powder and lead, and you breathe that fact like the cold itself, because survival here turns on trade as surely as it turns on fire. The air bites, the ground crusts white, and the wind knots itself in the lodgepoles. Dangers pile up quietly. River ice that swallows horses, storms that shear tents from their stakes, riders who study you from the ridgeline, and vanish like thoughts you don't finish. A small object matters more than pride. A coal the size of a berry under last night's ash. The cold iron of a striker, a smear of castor on a stick. Tiny choices that mean meat or hunger, thaw or sleep. If you fail the little things, you fail the day. If you fail the day, the mountains accept you without ceremony. If you enjoy these stories, a like or subscription truly makes a difference. It's a wonderful way to support this channel, and me personally. So, if you feel inclined, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Oh, I almost forgot to say that I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Where are you listening from, and what time is it there right now? Now, settle deeper into your blankets. Let your breath slow, and together we'll slip into the journey. You wake to the stiffness of a frozen blanket on your chest, and the thin ache in your teeth that belongs to high places before sun. Frost rims the edge of your breath. Your nose stings. Your fingers resist even the idea of moving. You lie still, listening, because listening uses no heat, only patience. A tick of ember pops in the ash beside you, too faint to warm, just bright enough to remind you that warmth exists. Somewhere a tree answers the cold with a slow wooden groan. Your belly argues with the morning in small, hopeful noises. Bill's voice arrives like the smell of smoke, low, cracked, practical. No fire, no life, he says. And the words are not a proverb so much as a hand on your shoulder. You push the blanket aside, and the crust breaks like thin ice. Your breath fogs. Your moccasins squeak in a way only wet rawhide knows. A small hungry sound that belongs more to the leather than to you. The ground under your bed of boughs holds last night's shape and presses its dark green memory against your back. You kneel by the ash and brush it with 2 fingers until you feel a tiny heat the color of cherry stone. It glows like a secret that wants to be confessed. You cup it with dry punk, the wood crumbly as cake that has forgotten water. Bill slides you the iron and the flint with his mittened hand, and the metal puts a winter taste on your tongue just by being near your teeth. One strike, another. Sparks scatter like the minds of men who haven't eaten, brief and useless, until the next one lands true, and the punk remembers the old language of fire. You breathe it bigger. Your breath hitches. Your breath steadies. The ember swells. The smoke climbs, looking for a ceiling and finding only sky. Don't rush it, Bill says. Haste blows it out. You don't rush it. The tinder nest warms your knuckles until the ache softens into sensation again. You tip it under a teepee of dry slivers split from the heart of a dead limb, because outside is soaked with night, but inside the wood keeps yesterday. The first flame shows its teeth to the cold, and the cold leans back, grudging. Dawn presses through the trees like a bruise fading. The world shifts from silver to blue to something almost tolerable. Your blanket smells like smoke and wool and faintly of the creek where you rinsed it last week. Smoke threads into your hair, and there it will live, stubborn as a second name. Journals suggest some trappers tuck coals inside a buffalo chip or bundle them in fungus to carry fire all day, and you believe it. The mountains reward the man who refuses to start from zero. Bill eases a small pot over the flame with 2 sticks, the coffee black as creek stone, the grounds old as a promise you keep breaking and keep making anyway. The first sip scalds your mouth awake. Your hands stop arguing with the air. You hold the tin cup to your cheek and let the heat write its signature on your skin. The steam smells like sanity. Somewhere farther down the drawer, a raven remarks on your presence as if he owns a ledger. You listen, Bill says, eyes in the smoke. You hear that water. You close your eyes and learn to split the sound. The creek runs high from melt. It speaks of crossings and mistakes and the way a sapling bends when the current pulls. You nod. Bill sees the nod and lets it stand. He is careful with his words the way he is careful with powder. He uses little and never wastes. You chew last night's crust of meat and fat. Pemmican softened in a twist of boiled snow. The taste plain as plain gets. Some men call it dog feed, some call it salvation. You call it breakfast because the word is faster than deciding. Records from the trade talk of beaver plews bundled in packs of 10, of prices that rise and fall like the mood of weather, of rendezvous pitched in meadows loud with bargaining. These facts drift through your mind like smoke through pine, shaping your days without asking permission. You sit with your back to a stump and rub a thin smear of tallow into the cracks of your hands. The fat smells faintly sweet, like a memory you cannot place. In the sack at your side, a square of char cloth waits, black and delicate, made from an old shirt you thought you would miss. You don't. The cloth takes a spark the way dry mouths take water. You think of home, not a building, just the idea of a place where your breath is not a decision. The thought is soft as antler pith, and just as quick to vanish. Bill's knife appears. He splits a wrist-thick limb and shows you how to shave from the inside so the curls fall dry and thin. He says nothing about hurry or patience now. He trusts the lesson has landed. He points with the blade toward the eastern ridge, where the sun is still a rumour. The rumour is enough. Warmth has weight. The forest exhales a little. Your shoulders unclench a distance too small for pride but large enough for life. You examine your moccasins. The soles tell the story of last night's damp ground in a puckered script. You loosen the laces, tighten them again, and imagine the day lacing itself to your feet with the same rough care. A woodpecker beats measure into the trees. Your stomach answers in its own language. Bill pulls a strip of venison from a line under the lean toe's edge, the meat glossy with smoke. You hold it near the coals until its fats butter the air. You do not smile, but something like a light moves behind your eyes. A thought wanders through in town. A mattress remembers your shape. Here, pine boughs remember your weight and scratch the memory on your skin. You run a thumb along the inside of your wrist and feel yesterday's map there. Pine, smoke, the clean line of ice, the smell of brain-tanned buckskin. That is never just smoke or meat or marrow, but all three at once. The scent is a whole life pressed into leather. Some say the exact recipe varies with every camp, every animal, every hand. The mountains agree, and so you do too. Bill stands. He listens again. He takes one step and then another. The way a man moves when he wants to make no news. You stand with him. The fire keeps its own counsel now. You tuck the striker and flint into the small bag at your belt where the char cloth rests, and you feel all three like a trio of quiet allies. You test the weight of your rifle. Powder horn bumps against your ribs. You breathe and count that as preparation. Cold hangs low in the bottoms, Bill says. We take the ridge. His hand draws a line in the air. A path you can walk without putting a foot down. You put your foot down anyway. The ground accepts it. The day begins to accept you. If you lived in the city tonight, would you call this breakfast a feast or a warning? The question arrives and fades on the same breath. You shoulder your small world, blanket, tin, bag, hopes, and watch the fire a last time. A final pinhead of orange peers up from the ash like an eye. You trust to stay open while you turn your back. You move toward the creek, frost powdering your leggings, breath unrolling in soft banners. The sun finally shows itself between two black spruces and tastes your cheek with a thin, wintry light. You feel seen. You feel allowed. You are not warm yet, but you have fire in a pouch and smoke in your hair and a rhythm in your steps that promises warmth eventually. You cross a patch of shadow and feel the air drop. And then you cross into light and feel something like courage return. No one speaks. The world speaks. A raven numbers you again. The creek keeps talking, patient as a teacher who knows you will come around, if only because the lesson never ends. You touch the pouch at your belt as if it were a small animal you mean to keep alive. It is, it does. And the mountains, unpersuaded but not unkind, let you pass. The creek gossips louder as you descend, water tumbling over stone, white with melt and edged with ice where the night has refused to let go. Your boots darken at the toes with every step near the bank, and the chill climbs through the seams like a thief who knows your house too well. Bill halts, lifts his chin toward the far side where willows lean close and shadows move with the wind, but not with the water. You see them riders. 4, maybe 5, feathered hair, ponies restless, the soft gleam of eyes set deep in wintered faces. Your mouth tastes like iron before you remember. You haven't bitten the striker. They do not shout. They do not wave. They wait. Bill unhooks a pouch from his belt. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't need to. His movements are slow as frost creeping across a window pane. From the pouch he draws a string of blue beads and a twist of tobacco leaf bound in cloth. The beads catch what little sun there is. Beads that once crossed an ocean, beads that now might decide whether your blood crosses the snow. He holds them in one hand and rides no horse. He stands steady, broad, alone. The riders watch, heads tilted like owls. A crow calls behind them, or perhaps it is a man. The sound too sharp, too timed. Your stomach forgets hunger. Your skin waits for news from the air. The leader dismounts, mud sucking at his moccasins, and steps toward the creek. He does not hurry. The water climbs his leggings, but he does not flinch. Bill does not move until the man is 3 steps away. Then he bends, sets the beads and tobacco on a flat stone as if placing a child to sleep. He straightens and waits. The air between them is tight as wire. The man bends, lifts the gifts, studies them with no smile, no frown, no gift of his own. He nods once, a movement so small you could mistake it for the weight of the beads pulling his chin down. Then he turns, crosses back, mounts, and with no more notice than a breath, they are gone, swallowed by willow and slope. Bill exhales through his nose, a sound less than a sigh, more than a thought. Crow, he mutters, though you already knew from the beadwork on the leader's shirt, the way his horse carried itself like smoke. He turns up river without looking at you. The lesson needs no ink. Peace costs trinkets, not pride. You follow, the cold gripping your legs, and the creek keeps speaking as if nothing important just passed. By midday, the sun chews the frost from the ground, turning mud slick under your steps. Hunger returns, sly at first, then brash. Bill leads you to a beaver run where the bank is scarred with slides, where the smell hangs thick, musky, sharp, almost sweet, a scent that clings to fingers the way grief clings to memory. He shows you a small vial, glass cloudy, stopper stiff with grease. He tilts it, and the liquid inside shimmers like oil spilled on water. Castor, he says. He dips a twig, smears the scent on a peeled stick, sets it near the water's edge. Then the trap. Heavy iron jaws, teeth dulled but strong, chain coiled like a sleeping snake. He handles it with a respect that borders on prayer. Anchor it, he says, and you drive a stake deep into the mud, chain rattling. He sets the jaws, trigger balanced, delicate as a whisper. Your heart jumps each time the iron sings against itself. The trap sinks into the shallows, hidden under water the colour of tea. The baited stick stands above, casual, innocent. You squat beside it, smell on your hands already stubborn. Bill wipes his palms on dirt and snow, but the musk clings. Worth its weight, he says. Europe will buy a crown with this. Hat on a head you'll never see. Journals talk of prices. $5-6 for a prime skin, sometimes more. Enough to buy coffee, powder, lead, sometimes a horse if the trader is drunk or desperate. enough to keep men chasing through hunger and war. You wait. The water runs indifferent. A dragonfly skims, though it is too cold for insects, a shard of summer lost in time. Bill does not sit. He crouches, balanced, eyes, scanning as if he reads a book, the land rights, line by line. Minutes become half an hour, maybe more. Then a ripple different from the rest. Then a splash, small but sure. The chain jerks, the trap holds, the water bucks. You see the sleek body, tail slapping, teeth flashing. A beaver, furious, alive but caught. Your chest floods with a strange twin feeling, triumph and shame. The animal's eyes are dark coins, bright with knowledge of what comes. Bill is swift, merciful. He lifts, strikes, ends it clean. The water stills. The scent deepens. You help drag it up the bank. Fur wet, heavy, with more than water. Bill runs his hand down its back, nods once. Pelt like this, he says. Feeds you longer than meat ever could. The skin will dry, stretch, fold into bundles. The meat, stringy but filling, will cook tonight. You touch the tail, rubbery, alien. Some trappers boil it, some swear by it. Letters hint that its fat tastes of fish and wood smoke both, and you are not sure if that is praise or curse. You wipe your hand on your leggings, but the smell holds. It will not leave soon. As the sun dips, you shoulder the carcass. It weighs heavy, heavier than its flesh, heavy with the days and nights it might buy. Your back protests. Your knees argue, but the load stays. Bill takes the lead, up through brush, along a ridge where the wind gnaws. Clouds bank in the west, purple, swollen, promising weather. You taste metal again, and know it is not the striker this time. Night will ask for shelter. The wind will ask harder. You already feel the day thinning, its warmth escaping like smoke through cracks. Bill stops, scans the trees, picks 3 young pines bent by snow, poles, he says, and cuts them clean with swift strokes. You help raise them, lean them in a circle, tie them with rawhide. More poles follow, bark rough against your hands until blisters whisper under your skin. Canvas, patched, stained, smelling of 10 winters, comes last, draped, pegged with stakes. A wickiup, quick, imperfect, but tall enough for smoke to breathe. Inside, the air thickens with pine and old hides. You spread boughs on the ground, softer than dirt but harsher than any bed you remember. The beaver hangs near the door, a dark promise waiting for knives and patience. You rub your hands, cracked, stinging, and the smell of castor still clings. Bill sits cross-legged, flint in hand, coaxing life again from tinder. Sparks jump, catch, and the small flame answers the cold in its eternal language. Smoke curls up, stains the canvas, paints the night. The storm outside begins its mutter. You lie back on boughs that poke, but also lift you from earth's damp hand. Hunger murmurs, but warmth answers louder. You listen to the poles creak, to the wind argue with hide, to Bill clear his throat and say nothing after. You close your eyes, but not in sleep, only in rest, because sleep is a gift the mountains give when they choose, not when you demand. The wickiup breathes. The storm prowls, and your hands still carry the musk of castor, the weight of trade, the price of survival. The storm prowls like a restless bear, circling the hide walls of the wickiup, clawing at seams you patched with nothing but patience and strips of bark. Rain needles the canvas, hissing when it slides down to kiss the fire pit. You breathe the smoke as if it were a blanket. It stings your eyes but warms your chest, and you learn to love its scratchy hand. Bill stirs the coals, face lit in slices, lines deeper than the canyons outside. His knife glints once, twice, then stills. The beaver waits by the door, a shadow shaped like consequence, its fur still slick, its tail dull as stone. You help haul it inside, the smell raw and dense, an animal's final protest. Bill shows you the slit to make, straight and true, and you follow, blade trembling in your hand, breath fogging against hide. The skin peels reluctantly, sticky, stubborn, but it yields, warmth spills into your palms, more steam than blood. You swallow against the thickness in your throat. This is no clean work, no tidy story. This is hands and hide and hunger. Once freed, the pelt looks smaller than you imagined, yet heavy, carrying the memory of water. Bill rolls it, sets it aside. "That'll trade," he says. His tone is flat, not proud, not cruel, just true. He moves to the deer hide stretched taut on a frame outside, rain dripping from its edges, smoke curling against it. "Now," he says, "you'll learn what brains are for." You think he means wit, the patience to sit a trap line, the cunning to read a ridge, but he brings out a small pouch, leather darkened with grease. Inside is grey matter, thick, sticky, pungent. The smell punches through the smoke, sharp, fatty, bitter. He kneels, dips his hands, rubs it into the deer hide like ointment. "Every animal's got enough brain to tan its own skin," he mutters. Strange kind of mercy. You watch as the hide darkens under his hands, softening, becoming something it was not when alive. He motions you closer, pushes the mush into your palms. You gag once, but the work demands silence. You smear it across the hide, pressing it into fibers, fingers slipping. The smell clings to you deeper than castor, deeper than smoke. It crawls under your nails and waits there, a stubborn ghost. Bill works without pause, without complaint, as if this act were prayer. His hands move steady, spreading brains until every inch shines wet. Then he nods toward the smoke pit, a shallow trench lined with stones, fire burning low. He drapes the hide above, lets the smoke climb into it. Through it, the air thickens, acrid, yet strangely sweet, a perfume of life turned inside out. Smoke seals it, he says, drives out what would rot, gives back what keeps. The wickiup grows dim, shadows alive with smoke. You sit cross-legged, eyes burning, chest heavy, and listen to the rain find new rhythms outside. The storm softens to drizzle, drizzle to silence. Only the fire speaks now, popping, sighing. You run your hands across your leggings and still feel brains between your fingers, slick, stubborn. The hide overhead begins to change, stiff edge softening, texture shifting like damp paper drying in sun. In journals, some men call it Indian tan, others brain tan. Some dismiss it as filth, yet those who lived long enough to write knew its worth. A buckskin jacket kept dry with smoke outlasts wool, outlasts memory. Letters hint that its smell never leaves, that faint tang of smoke and marrow, and even years later, men claim they can tell a camp by its buckskin alone. You believe it now. Hunger growls again, impatient with knowledge. Bill slices meat from the beaver, thin strips, hangs them above the fire. Fat hisses, drips, spatters your hand. You don't flinch. The scent is strange, oily, unfamiliar. Some trappers claim the tail is a delicacy, boiled until its gelatin coats the mouth like butter. Bill tosses you a piece, grins at your hesitation. The bite is chewy, smoky, rich, like fish that once dreamed of being pork. You swallow, it lingers. You think of bread, soft bread, and the thought is almost a joke. Bill chews his own strip, shakes his head. Food's food, he says. Don't matter if it tastes good, matters if it lasts. He pulls the drying hide closer to the smoke, adds more fuel, wood that pops but doesn't flame too high. The hide drinks the smoke greedily, and you realize this is as much art as skill. Too much fire, and it scorches. Too little, and it spoils. Balance is the teacher here, and you are still clumsy in its school. Outside, the rain leaves the earth damp, prints of elk pressed fresh into mud where water has gathered. You see them when you step out, steam rising from your clothes. The air smells of pine resin bruised by storm. You run your finger along one track, wide, deep dew pooled in its center. It tells a story, a heavy bull moving east, no more than an hour ahead. The forest whispers its secrets to those who listen, and you are beginning to hear. Bill joins you, peers at the track, grunts approval. He doesn't chase. Not tonight. Tomorrow, he says, will follow. Tonight belongs to hide, to smoke, to rest. He returns to the wickiup. You linger, staring at the horizon where clouds split to show stars, sharp as sparks. The North Star hangs steady, and you mark it in your mind. No map, no compass, only memory and sky. That too is survival. You step back inside. Let the smoke close around you. The deer hide hangs, soft now, pliable. Bill runs his hand over it. Nods once, satisfied. He drapes it across your shoulders. The weight is strange, yet right. The smell is strong, yet comforting. It feels like belonging, like protection you can carry. The mountains will still test you, but tonight you own one more tool they respect. The fire dwindles. You stretch on pine boughs, softer now with your jacket beneath. The storm has spent itself. The air hums with calm. Your eyes burn from smoke. Your hands stink of brains. Your stomach rests with meat it does not love. Yet your body, for the first time in days, feels sheltered. Safe is too strong a word, but safe enough. As your breath slows, you think of homes where blankets are clean, where meat comes salted, where no one smokes a hide to keep death from its door. But those homes could not teach you the sound of rain easing, the glow of embers waiting, the simple fact that brains soften hide, that smoke preserves, that survival is often ugly and never polite. You close your eyes, let smoke wash the inside of your lungs, and surrender to the night, knowing you have learned something ancient, something stubborn, something that will not be forgotten. The morning arrives swollen with mist, the valley thick as soup, every tree a ghost until you're nearly under it. The ground squishes with last night's rain, boots sucking with each step. Bill walks ahead, broad back, hunched, hat dripping. He doesn't talk. He doesn't need to. You hear the river before you see it. Low thunder under the fog, steady as blood in the ear. The closer you come, the louder it swells, until it feels like the earth itself has broken open. When the mist parts, you see it, swollen brown with silt, carrying logs and branches like toys. The current rages, whitecaps folding and crashing, a muscle with no mercy. Bill stops at the bank, studies it, squints. Too high, he mutters, voice almost lost to the roar. You wait, chest tight. He kneels, digs with his knife into the mud, sketches a shape, a circle, ribs of willow, skin stretched over. A boat, but not like any you know. You ever hear of a bullboat? He asks. You shake your head. He gestures at the thicket nearby, where willows bend low and supple. Cut him. You set to work, knife sawing through green wood, sap sticky on your hands. Bill trims each piece, bends them into arcs. The ribs creak like animals, but they yield. He drives them into the ground in a circle, weaves more across until a skeleton rises, fragile but promising. Then the hide. Yesterday's deer skin is too small. He drags out the beaver hide, still raw in places, and another buffalo hide cured last season, stiff but workable. Together you stretch them, stitch edges with sinew, smear seams with tallow and ash. The smell is sour, sharp, rank, a mixture of fur and fat and smoke that clings to your throat. You gag once, but Bill ignores you, keeps working. Grease seals it, he says, keeps water out mostly. When the hide finally covers the frame, you step back. It looks crude, a patchwork bowl, uneven, edges rough. Yet when Bill shoves it toward the water, it holds, the current laps against its side, testing. The hide stretches but doesn't tear. He steadies it with a pole, motions you in. Your stomach drops. The boat rocks when you kneel inside. Water beads on the surface, shivering but doesn't seep through. Bill steps in behind you, heavier, steadier. The bullboat lists but rights itself. Kneel low, he says. Don't stand, don't shift, don't fight the river. Just let it carry. His voice is stone. He pushes off. The current grabs instantly, yanking you downstream. You grip the rim, knuckles white, heart slamming. The boat spins, slides, tilts. You hear water slap hide inches from your face. Bill plants his pole, braces, steers just enough to keep the nose from turning broadside. Logs float past, one so close you feel the spray off it. The boat shudders but holds. Your knees burn from kneeling. Your hands ache from gripping, but you don't let go. Spray coats your face, bitter, metallic with mud. You taste the mountain's anger. The boat spins again, slower now, as the current widens. For a moment you glimpse sky in a break of cloud, pale, thin, but promising. Journals say bullboats could carry men and packs across swollen rivers, even horses if the hides were thick enough. Some claim the hides shrank tight after drying, turning the frame brittle. Others swear the fat always leaked, staining hands for days. You believe both, feeling the grease seep onto your palms, sticky, stubborn. Midstream, the boat bucks. A hidden log knocks the frame. Your breath catches. The hide groans, stretching. Bill slams his pole down, leverages, steadies. You feel the current roar beneath. Endless, merciless. Don't breathe like a rabbit. He snaps. Breathe like a man. You obey. Slow, deep, though your lungs beg for speed. The far bank rises, dark with spruce. The current fights, dragging you downstream. But Bill angles the pole, forces the nose toward shallows. The boat scrapes gravel, lurches, nearly tips. You leap, splash knee-deep, drag the frame onto mud. Water seeps through your leggings, icy, but you don't care. You're alive. Bill pulls it up beside you, breathing hard, sweat streaking his smoke-stained face. He spits river from his mouth, then chuckles low, a sound like stones rolling. You crossed, he says. His tone is neither kind nor cruel, just true. You collapse on the bank, chest heaving, knees shaking. Your hands still smell of grease, your face of river. You stare at the bullboat, patchwork and ugly, yet loyal, a skin bowl against a mountain's muscle. Crude, but enough. The sun breaks thinly, lighting mist into silver. You close your eyes, feel warmth on your cheeks. Hear birds daring song after storm. Bill sets the hide to dry, smoke curling as he seals the seams again. He hums under his breath, a tune without words, older than the river. Your stomach growls louder than birds. Bill tosses you a strip of beaver tail from last night, chewy, slick, but you chew anyway. Fat coats your tongue, smoke clings to your teeth. You swallow, sigh, not pleasure, but survival, not feast, but answer. You lie back on damp earth, clothes steaming, and think of beds elsewhere, mattresses with springs, rooms with shutters, yet none of them would teach you the sound of water under hide, the feel of grease sealing life into wood. The bullboat is no ship, no glory, but it carries men when rivers try to drown them. That is enough. Evening creeps as you set camp, fire coaxed from coals carried in fungus tucked dry in your pouch. Smoke threads the air, sharp, clean. You hang socks near flames, watch steam rise, feel life return to toes. Bill sharpens his knife, slow, steady, eyes always on the edge. The night closes, but fear does not. You crossed, you lived, you breathe deep, lungs full of smoke, grease, damp earth. The river roars behind, constant, eternal. You are small, but you are still here. The bullboat lies drying, frame creaking, seams glistening. Tomorrow it may leak, or tear, or carry you again. You will not know until you push off. That is the lesson. The stars blink awake. You find the North Star, steady, patient, waiting. Bill nods at it once, then at you. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The lesson has already settled into your bones. Trust nothing, build something, cross anyway. You close your eyes to the sound of river and fire, heart still echoing with current. Your knees ache, your palms stink, your chest eases. You survived. For tonight, that is all the mountains ask. If you enjoy these stories, a like or subscription truly makes a difference. It's a wonderful way to support this channel, and me personally. So, if you feel inclined, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. The river still mutters behind you as morning creeps into camp, damp and grey. Mist lies low, clinging to your blanket, until it feels more like wet moss than cloth. The fire is nothing but a scatter of grey ash, one small rise darker than the rest. You kneel, brush with your fingers, and feel it, heat, faint but alive, hidden like a secret, a coal the size of a berry, holding the memory of flame. Bill crouches beside you, eyes narrowed against the smoke your fingers stir. No fire, no life, he says again, softer this time, as though the words might wake the coal too roughly. He digs with a stick, lifts the ember gentle as a child, and slides it into a nest of dry fungus. He's kept tucked in his pouch. The smell hits sharp, earthy, something like leather left in rain. He blows once, twice. The coal brightens, the fungus glows, smoke streams thin as hair. Carry it, he murmurs. He shows you the trick. Fungus wrapped in birch bark, tied with a strip of sinew. It smoulders, smoke curling from seams, hot enough to keep but not enough to flame. You tuck it into a pocket of your bag, careful, as though holding a heartbeat outside its body. Never start from nothing if you can help it, Bill says. Cold ground'll take everything from you. Best to cheat. The day moves damp, chill, clinging even as sun pushes fog uphill. Your clothes stink of river, grease, smoke. Your stomach folds itself small, waiting for the promise of meat. Bill leads along a ridge, boots grinding frost. Now and then he pauses, breaks dead branches, shows you where to split them. Outer's wet, he explains. Inner's dry, always is. He hands you a stick, forces you to shave thin curls. The knife chatters on the grain, curls falling to the ground like wood-coloured feathers. You gather them in your palm, fingers numb. You strike flint to steel. Sparks leap, most die, one lands true. The curl takes, glows, spreads. You coax it with breath, hands cupped as though hiding a secret from the wind. Smoke thickens, flame shows teeth, heat brushes your face, singe the hair on your hand. Relief runs through you like warm water. The ache in your chest loosens. You laugh once, low, surprised. Bill only nods. That night, rain needles the hide walls again. You lie awake, blanket damp, body sore. The fire inside the wickiup is small, coals buried deep under ash. Bill rakes them with a stick, covers them again, mutters. Bank 'em, keep 'em sleeping, not dead. He shows you how pile ash thick. Leave just enough breath holes. In the morning you uncover them, coax them back, and flame remembers you. Some journals claim trappers carried fire for days, never striking flint once. Others say sparks fail half the time, and cold kills men too proud to admit it. You believe both. You've seen sparks die, smoke choke, rain steal every scrap of warmth. And yet you felt a coal answer, small, stubborn, enough. The world teaches repetition. Strike, fail, strike, fail, strike, until one spark lands. Bill says patience is a man's true tinder. He's right. You feel it in your cracked hands, in the smoke stinging your eyes. Morning breaks colder. Frost slicks the ground. Every breath a plume. You uncover the banked coals, find them still glowing faintly under their blanket of ash. You smile, small, private. You add curls of wood, blow gently, and fire remembers. Smoke curls upward, a soft flag of survival. Bill watches, grunts approval. Now you'll last, he says. The fire boils, coffee black as tar, steam curling in your face. You sip. Burn your tongue, don't care. Heat spreads from inside out. Your body sighs. You tear dried meat into strips. Chew until your jaw aches. Swallow. Food may not comfort, but it quiets. The rest of the day is movement. You carry fire in your pouch, smoke leaking faint trails behind you. The smell follows, stubborn, as though the mountain itself recognizes what you've stolen. Bill cuts more fungus, splits more sticks, mutters names for each: chaga, punk, birch bracket. You repeat them under your breath, a litany against cold. At dusk, wind sharpens. Clouds gather low. You stop early. Set a lean-to of poles and bark. Bill shows you where to place the fire, just far enough to heat, close enough to feed coals through the night. You scrape a pit, line it with stones, cover sparks with ash when the flames die. Your body curls around the warmth, blanket tight, ears full of wind and smoke. Sleep comes in pieces. Each time you wake, you check the glow. It's still there, red and stubborn. You drift again, soothed by the coal's pulse, steady as your own. Somewhere outside, an owl calls, wings silent, eyes unseen. Somewhere farther, the river mutters. By dawn, the fire is nothing but ash again. Yet you know better now. You dig, find heat. You coax it. Flame rises. The lesson holds: no fire, no life. But fire need not be born each day. It can be carried, guarded, remembered. You stand, stretch, smoke in your hair, soot on your hands. You smell like fire, taste like ash. You grin despite the ache in your body. You've cheated the cold, just enough. And in these mountains, just enough is everything. The forest hushes after dawn, air heavy with the smell of wet pine and smoke clinging to your jacket. Your belly nags, low and steady, reminding you that dried strips and bitter coffee are not enough. Bill notices the way your hand drifts to your stomach. He says nothing at first, only stoops to check the pouch at his side, the knife at his belt, the small coil of cord he keeps for snares. Then he looks at you, eyes sharp as flint. Iron don't last, he says. You lose a trap, you learn another way. Deadfall feed you when steel won't. He leads you down into a drawer, where moss lies thick, damp as sponge, and the earth smells rich, alive. Animal trails crisscross, faint but real, pressed grass, broken twigs, droppings gone pale. Bill crouches, points at a track the size of your thumb, 4 toes splayed, claws faint, squirrel, rabbit, enough to keep a man. His hand brushes the ground, then rises with a small stick, stripped quick with his knife. He cuts another, longer, whittles both with swift sure strokes until the pieces notch together like puzzle ends. You set weight on one, balance on the other. Food comes, bumps it, snap, he gestures, palms flat. Stone drops, bone breaks, simple as that. He sets the sticks into place, props them under a flat rock, heavy enough to crush, but light enough to lift. The trap stands, delicate, ready. Balance is the trick, he says. Too much weight and it springs itself. Too little, and you starve. He hands you the knife. Your turn. The wood feels clumsy in your hands. The blade skips, bites deeper than you want. The notches come uneven, ugly. When you fit the sticks together, they slip, refuse balance. The rock tips too soon, crashes down before you even bait it. Bill says nothing, just lifts the stone, resets it, hands you another stick. You carve again, slower this time, listening to the grain. Shavings curl, fall, mix with moss. Sweat beads on your forehead, though the air is cold. At last, the pieces meet true. The rock teeters above, steady, waiting. Bill nods once. Now it's yours. You smear the baked fat scrap from last night's beaver tail, rank but irresistible. You crouch back, heart tapping like a drum. The woods wait with you. Hours pass in the rhythm of waiting. You shift, stretch, walk circles. Bill sits still, carving with quiet patience, blade whispering against wood. The squirrel chitters overhead, scolding. Then a rustle, faint at ground level. You freeze, ears strain. The sound of tiny claws, a rabbit, nose twitching, eyes, black beads, drawn by the stink of fat. It steps cautious, pauses, steps again. Your lungs lock. The rabbit noses the bait, brushes the stick. The trap snaps. Stone falls. Silence. You lunge forward, lift the rock. The rabbit lies crushed, still warm. You touch its fur, soft, fragile. You feel a stab of pity, sharp and strange, but hunger dulls it fast. Bill takes it, wrings its neck to be sure, then tosses it into your hands. You eat, he says. The meat cooks on a stick over the fire that night. Skin peeled, fat sizzling, smells sharp but sweet. The taste is gamey, wild, nothing like the salted pork you once knew. You chew slow, careful, but each bite feels like strength returning. Bill gnaws his share, wipes his hands on his leggings, stares into the fire. Iron'll rust, iron'll drown, he says. Wood and stone don't fail. They're always here. You just have to see 'em. Some journals mention trappers who set lines of deadfalls, 50 in a night, catching squirrels, rabbits, even mink. Others claim some tribes taught them, showing balance and bait, while others learned the hard way through hunger. Letters hint that deadfalls were outlawed in some forts, too messy, too wasteful, but on the trail rules die fast. You set more traps the next morning, fingers surer now, knife steady. The work feels less foreign, more like rhythm. Carve, notch, balance, bait. The woods watch, silent judges. You wonder how many men failed, how many stones fell wrong, how many bellies stayed empty. Later, as you check the line, you find another catch. A squirrel this time, tail bright, eyes wide. You lift it, feel its small weight. You think of home where food comes wrapped, butchered, hidden from sight. Out here, no such curtain. Life, death, hunger, all laid bare, honest as stone. Bill helps skin them, shows you the cut, the pull, the way fur peels like a glove. The smell is sharp, clinging. You gag once, then steady. He laughs, low, not unkind. You'll learn. He salts the hides with ash, stretches them, talks of trade. Even a squirrel skin, he says, can patch moccasins, line mittens, barter for a pinch of powder. Nothing is waste. The evening fire spits fat, sparks dancing into night. You eat rabbit stew boiled in a blackened tin, meat tough but filling, broth thin but warm. Smoke clings to your hair, your clothes, your lungs. The stars blink down, indifferent. Bill pokes the coals, covers them with ash, banks them like treasure. You watch, learn. Sleep comes heavy. You dream of stones falling, of sticks balancing, of hands carving in endless circles. You wake in the night, hear the crack of wood in the distance. Imagine another trap sprung by unseen claws. You smile in the dark, small secret. You're learning. At dawn, frost paints the ground silver. Your traps wait, silent. Some are empty, bait gone, sprung for nothing. Others hold reward. 2 more rabbits, 1 squirrel, enough for breakfast, enough to carry. You gather them, proud but quiet. Bill nods once, that's all. You skin, cook, eat, pack. The world smells of smoke and fur, of pine and blood. Your belly feels steady for the first time in days. Hunger still lurks, always, but less sharp. For now you have meat, you have skill, you have balance. The deadfall trap is simple. Wood, stone, patience. Yet it carries you across the line between hunger and strength. You know you'll never forget the feel of that first snap, the weight of life turned to food. You know too that the mountains don't care how you learn, only that you do. The sky thickens through the afternoon, clouds piling dark as wet wool, heavy with promise you know will not be kind. The air shifts, wind sharpens, trees begin to speak in groans and whispers, branches scraping each other as though warning. You feel the weight of the storm before it arrives, a pressure in your chest, a taste of iron on your tongue. Bill pauses at the edge of a clearing, spits once, then squints west. "Blow's coming," he says. "We'll need a half-faced camp." You've seen lean-tos, wiki-ups, quick shelters of bark and poles, but Bill shows you something else. He leads you to a slope where the wind cuts strongest, chooses a line of spruce thick enough to break the blast. He hands you the axe, haft-worn smooth, head nicked from years of hard work. "Cut poles," he says, "long as you are tall, thick as your arm." The steel bites deep, wood chips flying. Your shoulders burn, palms ache. You cut one pole, then another, sap sticking to your hands, scent sharp and clean. Bill gathers brush, drags it across the ground. Soon a small pile of poles grows, bark wet under your fingers. He drives the first into the ground at an angle, then another, leaning them together until a low wall begins to form. "Half-faced shelter," he says, voice steady in the rising wind. "Wall in the back, open to the fire in the front. Keeps smoke out, keeps heat in." He props poles side by side, ties them with strips of rawhide, weighs them down with stones. Over the frame he lays slabs of bark, sod, pine boughs, layering until no seam is bare. The smell of resin rises, sticky, sharp. Rain begins to spit, then sting. You hurry, placing boughs, hands numb, breath quick. By the time the first true gust slams through the clearing, the half-faced shelter crouches low, sturdy, angled against the storm. Bill kneels inside, pats the ground, motions you in. The earth is damp, but he spreads more boughs, thicker, a mattress of green needles. You sink onto them, grateful for even that small lift from the wet. The wind howls, driving rain sideways. Outside, the forest thrashes. Inside, you feel a pocket of calm, fragile but real. Bill builds the fire low, careful. He shows you the trick. Dig a shallow pit, ring it with stones, stack wood tight so the flame leans toward the shelter, but smoke drifts away, sparks spit, smoke curls, fire takes. The orange glow paints the bark wall, warms your face. Rain hammers the roof, but the half-faced wall holds. The shelter breathes half open, half closed, just enough. You huddle near the flames, steam rising from your leggings. The smoke tastes bitter, but warmth is worth the sting in your eyes. Bill hangs a strip of rabbit on a stick. Slow roasting, fat drips into the coals, hissing. The smell fills the small space, rich and wild. Your stomach claws at itself. When he hands you a piece, you burn your tongue but don't stop chewing. The meat is tough, sinew catching between your teeth, but it steadies you, fills the hollow. The storm rages harder. Wind screams across the treetops. Branches snap like bones. The fire leans but holds. The shelter creaks, boughs shedding rain, but it doesn't fail. You lie back, blanket wrapped tight, watching shadows flicker across bark. Every gust feels like a hand pressing down. Yet the wall shields you, the fire warms you. You think of houses with stone chimneys, beds with feather quilts, walls painted white. Then you listen to the storm's howl, smell pine and smoke, feel the ground steady beneath you, and know this shelter is enough. Bill dozes sitting up, hat tipped low. His snores mingle with the wind. You stay awake longer, ears sharp, heart uneasy. Somewhere in the storm, a tree falls, crash echoing through the valley. The ground trembles. You flinch. Bill doesn't stir. You envy that calm, the way he trusts the work of his hands, the angle of his wall, the loyalty of his fire. Journals speak of half-faced shelters common along trapping lines, quick to build, cheap in effort. Some claim they saved more lives than rifles, keeping frostbite at bay when storms cornered men. Others write that smoke filled them too easily, choking sleep, but you see now that with skill, the draft pulls clean. The truth is balance, as always. Wind at your back, fire at your front, patience between. Hours pass in a blur of thunder and flame. Rain softens, shifts to drizzle, wind eases. No longer screaming, only muttering. The shelter sighs, lighter now, roof dripping slow instead of pounding. You step outside, breath steaming, ground slick. The storm has torn branches down, left pools in every hollow, yet the fire still lives, the shelter still stands. You feel pride, small but real. Bill joins you, stretches, joints, cracking. He surveys the wall, the fire, your damp but living body. He nods once. Approval enough. Not bad, he says. Half-faced'll get you through. He doesn't smile, but his voice carries something close. The day brightens faintly. Clouds split, sun glimmers weak, steam rises from the ground. From your clothes, from the shelter's bark, you breathe deep, lungs full of resin and smoke. You survived the storm, not by luck, but by skill borrowed, learned, passed down. You will remember the angle of the poles, the weight of the bark, the way the fire leans just right. As you pack to move, you glance back. The shelter crouches there, simple, small, yet strong. It will sag in days, collapse in weeks, vanish in months. But for one night, it was everything. You shoulder your pack, follow Bill down the trail, and know that survival is not walls of stone but walls of pine, quick hands, steady fire, and the will to try. The trail winds low into a valley where the air holds the damp sweetness of meadow grass and the heavier note of smoke from distant fire. Your belly nags again, restless, though you ate rabbit at dawn. Hunger never truly leaves out here. It only quiets for a while, crouching in the corners of your ribs like a predator waiting its turn. Bill stops at a cluster of rocks blackened with soot. He crouches, runs a finger through the ash, and lifts his eyes toward you. Drying racks, he says. This is where pemmican's made. Time you learn. You've heard the word before, whispered by traders, muttered by voyageurs, written in the journals of men who crossed half a continent on it. Some call it dog feed. Others call it a miracle. Out here, it might be both. Bill shrugs off his pack, pulls out strips of venison cut thin as parchment, edges already dark with drying. He lays them across a frame of willow poles, lashed together roughly but steady. The meat hangs limp, red as rust, steam rising faint in the chill air. First you dry it, he says. Smoke, sun, wind. Doesn't set matter how. So long as you chase out the water, water seps rot, dry is life. You gather wood, build a fire low, coaxing smoke instead of flame. The smoke snakes upward, white-grey, curling around the meat. Soon the strips begin to curl, edges stiffening. The smell thickens, sharp and wild, a reminder of the kill. Your stomach twists with both hunger and unease. Bill shows you how to slice thinner, longer, the knife pulling fibers apart until each strip is nearly translucent. The meat grows brittle, snaps instead of bends. You taste a piece. It cracks between your teeth like old leather, flavor muted to nothing but smoke. You cough. Bill grins, a flash of teeth in soot-dark face. That's the point. No taste, no rot. Once dried, he places the brittle strips on a flat stone and begins pounding with another, heavy and smooth. The crack of stone on stone echoes through the valley. The meat splinters, shatters, collapses into fibers, then dust. Your arms ache with the motion as you take over, grinding until red-brown flakes cling to your skin, sticky with marrow. The sound is rhythmic, a drumbeat of survival. Bill renders fat in a pot blackened from years of fires. Bones crack open with his axe. Marrow scooped with his knife, thick and pale, it melts into golden pools, bubbling, hissing, releasing a smell both rich and unsettling, greasy, heavy like a candle made of flesh. He pours the fat over the shredded meat, stirring with a stick. The mixture hisses, clings, binds. Then the berries, dark choke cherries, shriveled saskatoons, dried last season. He crushes them between his fingers, juice staining red, bleeding into the mix. The color shifts, meat and fat and fruit swirling together into something coarse and ugly, yet whole. Some say the berries are for taste. Bill mutters. Truth is, they keep you from going hollow inside. Sweet keeps the spirit. The pot steams, scent heavy enough to turn your stomach and make your mouth water in the same breath. He scoops a handful, presses it into a rawhide pouch, folds the edges, ties it with sinew. The block cools, hardens, a lump dense as stone. He hands it to you. There, a month in your pack, maybe more. You eat it raw, you boil it into stew, you chew it frozen, doesn't spoil, doesn't quit. You bite. The texture is strange, gritty, greasy, faintly sweet. It clings to your teeth, coats your tongue. You chew slowly, swallow reluctantly. It sits heavy in your belly, but the hollow quiets. Bill watches, waiting for complaint. You only nod. Food is food. Some journals praise pemmican as miracle, fuel enough for a man to march a day without pause, the lifeblood of the fur trade. Hudson's Bay Company records show brigades of voyageurs eating nothing else for weeks as they paddle thousands of miles. Other accounts curse it. Dull, joyless, a prison of fat and dust. Yet those men lived when others starved. You believe both. The rest of the day is labor. You slice more strips, tend the smoke, stir fat until it glistens. Grease seeps into your skin, stains your leggings, stiffens your hair. Flies buzz, despite the chill, greedy for scraps, wings glinting in firelight. Bill smokes them off, curses under his breath. You waste nothing, he says again, scooping spilled fat with a pine cone, tossing it back in. Even scraps, even ashes, even bones boiled thrice, nothing goes unused. By evening the racks sway with meat, stiff as bark. The pouches lie cooling, 6, then 8, then 10, lined like bricks. Each weighs more than it looks. You heft one, feel its promise, heavy with grease, dense with work, worth more than silver out here. You chew another piece, teeth aching with the grit, throat catching on grease. It fills you, steadies you, but pleasure has no part in it. Food is not comfort here. It is coin. It is time. It is tomorrow. Bill eats his share, lips slick, eyes half-lidded with fatigue. You'll curse it by next week, he says, but you'll bless it when the snow locks you in. The fire spits, sparks fading into fog. The valley darkens, stars pricking the sky one by one. You lie back, pouch of pemmican at your side, as precious as powder, heavier than lid. Your hands stink of fat, your clothes of smoke, your breath of dried meat. You think of soft bread, butter, cheese melting on warm crust. You almost laugh, the thought so far so foolish. You bite another piece, swallow hard, and let the memory fade. You dream that night of rivers made of grease, flowing slow, endless. You wade, hungry, but never full. When you wake, dawn is grey, fire low, racks empty, but for brittle scraps. Into his pack, cinches the straps. He nods at you, satisfied. Now you sittle last. The trail rises steep again, sun cutting frost from grass until it glitters. Your pack is heavier now, but the weight steadies you. Hunger still lurks, but quieter. You step onto the path, grease on your lips, smoke in your hair, fat in your blood. For the first time in days, you carry more than you can eat in one night. You carry time itself. The trail bends down toward water again, and you hear the river long before you see it. It isn't the playful chatter of a brook or the distant roar of falls. It's a steady, low thunder, the kind that settles into your bones and refuses to leave. Bill slows his pace, squints at the trees ahead where the air grows damp and the ground shines dark. "Watch closely," he says, voice carried off by the wind. "River'll tell you things if you listen." You step through brush, boots sinking in wet soil, until the river shows itself, a broad surging band of brown swollen with melt. Foam gathers at bends, logs roll half hidden beneath the surface, branches spin like spears. The smell is sharp, metallic, cold enough to sting your nose. You taste silt in the back of your throat, though you've not yet touched the water. Bill crouches, points to where current wrinkles against a boulder midstream. The water bulges, curls, then smooths again downstream. "That's a pillow," he says. "Safe behind it, deadly in front." He shifts his finger, tracing the edge of a ripple where two currents meet and form a tongue of smoothness. "That's a seam. Fish run there. Men cross there, if they're lucky." He digs a stick into the mud, draws a swirl, and that's a whirl. Don't fight it. Ride it out. Push off at the slack. The words settle heavy. You watch the water, see patterns you hadn't before, eddies tugging leaves into circles, foam lines marking the strongest flow, waves breaking over something unseen. You realize the river writes its story on the surface every moment. If only you have eyes to read. Bill breaks off a dead branch, tosses it in. The current grabs it, whirls it, spits it out half a bend downstream. "That log's lighter than you," he says. "Remember that." His gaze is hard, a reminder sharper than any knife. The day turns to practice. You walk along the bank, following bends and crossings. Bill points often, says little. You learn to read foam streaks, paths where current runs fastest. You learn to spot darker patches, deeper water, places where a man could disappear without ripple. He teaches you to watch for strainers, fallen trees half submerged, branches downstream like claws. Those'll catch you, hold you under. Seen men drown within arm's reach of shore. Don't forget. You kneel at the edge, trail fingers in the water. Cold bites instantly, numbing. Your hand goes white, then red. You pull back, flex stiff fingers. The river takes warmth as easily as it takes logs. You shiver despite the sun. Later, Bill kneels, pulls a scrap of hide from his pouch, lashes it to a pole. He sets it adrift, watching how the water grabs, spins, releases. He marks the bank with his knife point. "Always test before you cross," he mutters. River sits stronger than pride. Journals speak of voyageurs who lost whole brigades to rivers. Canoes dashed, pemmican gone, men swept away. Others write of trappers who knew every bend by name, who read water as well as sky, living because they could see what others missed. Some records disagree on whether whirlpools could truly drag a man down, or if fear wrote those tales. Looking at the sucking circles ahead of you, you believe every word. Bill leads you to a ford where the river widens, current slower. He shows you how to choose a path, diagonal, not straight across. Don't fight it. Let it carry you. Step sideways, steady. Keep eyes on the far shore, not the water. He rolls his pants, steps in, pole in hand. The river rises to his thighs, shoves hard but he braces, moves slow, deliberate. He reaches the far bank, turns, waits. Your turn. The water swallows your legs. Icy knives slicing muscle. The current grips like a giant's hand, dragging, pulling. You plant the pole. It wobbles, slips. Your breath stutters. Bill calls, eyes up. You force yourself to stare at the far bank, not at the froth around your knees. Step by step, pole after pole, you inch across. Your heart hammers, arms shake, but somehow you reach the far side, collapse onto gravel. Bill only nods. Lesson learned. That night, camp is made high above the bank. Fire crackles, smoke curling against stars. You lie on your back, listening to the river mutter in the dark. Its voice never stops. A low reminder, you dream of water closing over your head, dragging you into cold silence. You wake sweating, heart racing, though the fire still glows. Bill sleeps steady, one arm over his face. In the morning, mist clings to the water like gauze. You check the bank, see fresh tracks, deer maybe or elk where animals came to drink. Their trails cut down, soft and trampled, proof that even beasts gamble with current. Bill shows you how to follow them upstream, where they find safer crossings. Animals know, he says. Follow their lead. They've been reading this river longer than any man. You think of home, where water comes from pumps and pipes, where rivers are tamed by bridges. Here nothing is tame. Water is both path and wall, friend and executioner. You shoulder your pack, pouch of pemmican heavy, and follow Bill along the bank. The river keeps talking, endless, merciless, patient. You realize survival here is not beating it, but learning its language, speaking it well enough to be allowed passage. By midday, sun strikes the water, turning foam silver. You watch ripples, seams, eddies, naming them in your head. You test yourself, point them out before Bill does. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Each mistake stings, but you learn faster than before. Hunger sharpens memory, fear sharpens more. As evening falls, you sit on the bank, pebble in hand, tossing it into a seam, watching it vanish. You wonder how many men disappeared the same way. One slip, one misstep, gone without mark. Bill sits beside you, silent, eyes on the current. Finally he says, "River don't forgive, but it teaches." Then he stands, brushes his hands, and the lesson ends. You rise, follow him away from the roar. The sound fades behind trees. Though it never leaves your ears, you know now that you'll hear it in dreams, in silence. Maybe even years from now, far from these mountains, the river writes itself into you, as permanent as smoke, as heavy as hunger. If you enjoy these stories, a like or subscription truly makes a difference. It's a wonderful way to support this channel, and me personally. So if you feel inclined, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. The forest rises dark and close as you leave the river behind. Every step sinks into moss, springy and damp, muffling your boots until you feel more ghost than man. The air is still, heavy with resin and loam, birds hushed except for a crow that barks once and vanishes. Bill slows, crouches near a patch of mud darkened by shadow. He doesn't speak at first, only lays his palm beside an impression pressed deep. You lean in. It's wide, cloven, edges sharp, the shape unmistakable. Elk, the print is fresh. The dew still pools in the hollow, grass around it, bent but not yet dry. Steam curls faint from dung nearby, sharp and musky. The smell of heat and hunger both. You feel your own breath hitch. Bill nods once. Bull, heavy, not far ahead. He motions you down, silent. You crouch, knees creaking, and follow as he picks a path along bent grass, broken twigs. His steps make almost no sound. Yours betray you with snaps and crunches, each louder than the last. Bill halts once, throws you a glance sharp as flint. You freeze, cheeks burning, then step lighter, careful. The lesson stings but holds. The trail winds deeper. Marks show where the elk brushed trees, rubbing antlers roar against bark. Shreds of velvet hang like torn cloth, dark with sap. Bill plucks one, shows it between thumb and finger. Early season, he whispers, antlers still tender. Bull's restless, he lets the velvet drift to ground, as though the forest itself should reclaim it. You kneel at another track, smaller, sharper, calf. The trail splits, merges again. The herd moves together, weaving through shadows. You imagine their breath clouding in cool air, their hooves striking soft rhythm, their eyes wide and wary. You've seen elk only from distance before, shapes against ridges. Now the nearness feels electric, dangerous. A snap startles. Your own boot too heavy. Bill glares, then points ahead where brush sways. You hold breath, muscles locked. Through the screen of pine you glimpse a flank, brown, massive, twitching with flies. Then a rack of antlers shifts, glinting as sun spears through. The bull. Your chest tightens, heart hammering. The air thickens with scent, sharp, gamey like wet leather. Bill raises his hand, motion slow as sap. You kneel, rifle heavy in your arms. He doesn't speak, only points to your eyes, then to the elk. The lesson is clear, sight before shot. You line your gaze down the barrel, see the bull framed in crosshairs of branches. Its breath steams, its ears flick. A single move would send it crashing into timber. But Bill shakes his head. Subtle. Not now. Too far. Too many trees. Too much chance of waste. The bull lifts its head, snorts, then melts into shadows, herd following. Your shoulders sag with both relief and frustration. Bill whispers. Patience. Elk's not squirrel. Miss once. You'll see nothing for days. You follow again, deeper into forest. Hours pass in hush. You study every sign. Grass pressed flat, bark stripped, fresh scat, steaming in cold. The trail is a map, and you learn to read it. Broken fern, bent sapling, even spiderwebs brushed aside by antlers. Bill points once to a web intact across the path. Old trail, he mutters. You nod, file it away. At dusk you crest a ridge. The valley below glows faint gold. In a clearing the herd grazes, shapes moving slow, breath rising. The bull lifts its head, antlers crowned in light, a king among shadows. Your chest swells at the sight. Hunger gnaws, but awe steadies it. You kneel beside Bill, who studies in silence. Journals speak of elk feeding whole camps, hides traded for blankets, sinew for bowstrings, antlers for tools. Letters describe hunts that lasted days, failures that starved men through winter. Some accounts claim a single bull could yield 200 pounds of meat, but that much flesh is both salvation and burden. You wonder how you'd carry it, skin it, dry it. The thought is as heavy as the bull itself. Bill lowers his rifle but does not aim. Too late in the day, he murmurs. Kill now, waste half, tomorrow. His tone leaves no room for argument. You exhale, shoulders aching from stillness. The herd drifts into dusk, shapes fading until only shadows remain. Back at camp you chew pemmican, greasy and sweet, though your tongue still longs for fresh meat. Bill sits silent, sharpening his knife. Sparks jump from stone. You picture the bull again, massive, breathing, unaware of you. A strange guilt mixes with hunger. Survival demands death, yet the animal's strength humbles you. You turn the thought over, rough as a stone in pocket. The night is restless. You dream of antlers brushing trees, of hooves pounding earth. You wake to fire's glow, Bill already stirring. Dawn sharpens the air, mist lifting. He gestures, and you follow, silent now, feet lighter than yesterday. The trail is fresh, steaming scat bright in morning light. You move slower, steadier. Hours pass in patience. At last the herd shows again, feeding in shadow. The bull stands broad, massive. Bill lifts his rifle, nods at you. The moment hovers. You raise your own, sight down the barrel. The forest holds its breath. Hunger presses sharp against ribs. The elk's breath clouds. Your finger tightens. The world narrows to the bull, the rifle, the beat of your heart. Then Bill lowers your barrel with a firm hand. Not today, he whispers. Confusion burns, but his eyes are stone. Hunt's not lesson yet. Lessons in seeing. You swallow, breath shuddering. You look again at the herd, alive, powerful, enduring, and you realize the trail itself has taught more than the kill could. The herd moves off, vanishing once more into timber. You watch until nothing remains but trampled grass, steaming scat, bent saplings. Bill stands, brushes hands, turns back toward camp. You follow, pack heavy, hunger steady, lesson heavier still. The trail climbs towards timberline, where the trees thin and the wind sharpens into something that bites the skin. Above, the ridges run jagged, knife-edged against a sky pale as bone. You walk slower now, lungs burning in thin air, legs heavy from the climb. The pack tugs at your shoulders, every step a negotiation with fatigue. Bill keeps ahead, steady as always, hat pulled low, rifle at his side. He doesn't speak. The silence here feels sacred, as though even words might echo too far and draw unwanted attention. You crest a rise where the pines fall back to stunted, twisted shapes, roots clinging to stone. The view yawns wide, valley below, ridges beyond, the river cutting silver through it all. For a moment, the beauty stills your breath. But Bill doesn't look at the valley. His eyes fix higher, at the slope across the way. His hand lifts, palm flat, telling you to stop. You freeze. See there? His voice is a rasp, low as the wind. You follow his gaze. At first you see only rock, snow-patched, trees scattered thin. Then movement, small, precise. A figure, crouched near a spruce, dark against pale stone. A man. The line of his shoulders is clear even at distance. The way he leans forward, the tilt of his head, watching. Your throat tightens. A Blackfoot scout, silent, patient, as much part of the ridge as stone itself. The sight prickles every hair on your body. He doesn't move, doesn't wave, doesn't challenge. He only watches. Bill doesn't reach for his rifle. He doesn't shift. His body stills until he feels like another stump among many. You mimic him, forcing your legs to quiet, your breath to slow. The weight of the man's gaze across the valley is heavier than your pack. Minutes pass, stretched thin, each heartbeat loud in your ears. The scout tilts his head once, as though measuring distance. A raven cuts overhead, croaking. Then, as sudden as you first saw him, he melts back into shadow. One step, and he's gone, the ridge swallowing him whole. Bill exhales through his nose. They see before you see, he mutters, always. Best you remember, his voice holds no fear, no surprise, only respect edged with caution. You walk again, slower, every sound now amplified, the crunch of boot on stone, the scrape of pack strap, the click of rifle swinging at your side. You feel exposed, the ridge wide open, sky pressing down. Each shadow could hide another pair of eyes. Later, Bill kneels beside a patch of dust where prints press faint, moccasin marks, light, almost delicate, toes pointed straight. He brushes them with 2 fingers, then covers them with loose grit. Let him know nothing more than they already do, he says. His hands move calm, but you sense the tension underneath, like a bow strung too tight. Some journals speak of these encounters. Men watched from ridges, never attacked, only measured. Letters tell of scouts who melted from sight, only for war parties to appear days later. Others insist many such shadows were illusions, nerves twisting wind and stone into enemies. You believe in illusions, but you believe in watchers too. You saw him, flesh and bone, watching. That night, camp is small, hidden in a pocket of fur. Bill builds the fire low, embers only, smoke kept thin. He sprinkles water over stones, smothers sparks before they rise. No signal fires, he mutters. Not tonight. You eat pemmican cold, grease sticking to your fingers, heavy in your gut. Hunger quiets, but comfort never comes. The forest around is too still. Even the night birds hold silence. You lie awake, every crack of branch a footstep, every sigh of wind a breath too near. Bill sits cross-legged by the embers, rifle across his knees, eyes half closed but never sleeping. His presence steadies you, though unease thrums still. At dawn, you wake to frost silvering the ground, breath pluming in air. Bill is already up, scanning the ridges. His face is stone, unreadable. They still keep watching, he says. Always do. Doesn't sit mean they sit'll strike. Doesn't sit mean they one sit. He shoulders his pack. Best we move. The trail hugs the slope. Narrow, gravel loose underfoot. You step careful, each rock shifting like it might betray you. Above, the ridge rises bare. You glance often, searching for movement, shapes against stone. You see none, yet the memory of the scout clings, pressing down like weight you cannot drop. Bill stops once more at a ridge where wind scours the rock clean. He crouches, points to a stack of stones balanced too neat, too deliberate. A cairn, small, unmarked. Message, he says. For them, not for us. He brushes it aside, scatters rocks down the slope. Best not leave answers. By midday, clouds gather, wind sharp, sky dim. You descend into timber again, branches thick above. The sense of eyes lingers still, though shadows hide them now. Bill's pace quickens, no longer steady but urgent, though his voice stays calm when he finally speaks. You've been seen, that's all. World's different once you're marked. Walk quiet, don't invite more. You nod, throat dry. You step softer now, breathing measured, ears straining for any sound that isn't yours. Every twig underfoot feels too loud, every breath too harsh. Survival is no longer just hunger or cold. It is the silence of another man on a ridge, his gaze carving itself into your bones. When camp rises again, deeper in timber, fire stays small, smoke hidden in dense branches. You chew pemmican slow, each bite heavy as stone. Bill sits across the fire, face in shadow, eyes glinting faint. Remember this, he says. Storms, hunger, rivers, those you fight, eyes in the timberline, those you respect, or you don't last. You bed down, blanket stiff, ground cold. Sleep takes long to come. In your dreams the ridge returns, the man crouched still, waiting. You wake with heart racing, fire burned to ash. Bill stirs but doesn't ask. He already knows what you saw. He already knows what it means. The timber grows thick again. Shadows layered one upon another, air damp with rot and pine. You move careful, each step placed, eyes scanning for sign of elk or deer. Hunger is quieter now, dulled by pemmican and rabbit, but it never disappears. Bill walks ahead, rifle loose in his hand, shoulders tight as though the forest itself presses too close. The silence is different today. Birds absent, squirrels hushed, even the wind feels muted, cautious. You sense it before you hear it. A musk thick in the air, rank and sour, like damp fur left to spoil. Your throat tightens. Bill halts, lifts one hand, palm flat. He doesn't look back. The message is clear. Stop. You freeze, breath shallow. Then the sound comes, low, guttural, rolling through the undergrowth, like thunder still caged. A growl, deep, steady, close. Branches sway. A log snaps, and then it steps out. The grizzly looms from shadow, coat ragged with mud, head massive, shoulders humped high. Its eyes glint black, unreadable. It lifts its snout, sniffs, lips peeling back to show teeth yellow as old ivory. The growl swells again, chest deep, a sound that rattles your bones. You feel your knees weaken, your rifle feels too small, your breath too loud. Bill doesn't raise his weapon. He stands, still as stone, only his eyes steady on the bear. His voice is barely more than air. Don't run, don't shout, don't look him in the eyes too long. Just stand. His hand flicks once, telling you to lower your gaze. You obey, staring at the ground, at pine needles trembling with each step the bear takes. The animal shifts closer, massive paws sinking into moss. Each step is slow, deliberate, as though it already owns the space you stand in. The smell floods stronger, thick with earth, musk, and something darker, blood, maybe, or memory. You swallow, throat dry. The bear stops 10 paces away, huffs, ears twitching, its claws catch light, curved and long as a knife blade. You grip your rifle tighter, knuckles white. Bill murmurs. He's warning. He's not hungry. Not yet. His words steady, but you hear tension underneath, tight as bowstring. Time stretches thin. The bear swings its head, studying, growl fading into a chuff. Then, sudden, it rears, rising on hind legs. The sight steals your breath. Taller than 2 men, shadow swallowing sky, paws wide as shovels. The sound it makes is half roar, half challenge, the forest itself shaking with it. You nearly stumble back, instinct screaming run. Bill's voice snaps, sharp as flint. Stand. You lock your knees, force your body still. Your chest heaves, but you do not move. The bear stares down, massive, furious, then slams back to all fours with a crack of weight that shakes the ground. Dust lifts, needles fall. It huffs again, shakes its head then, as if bored, turns. It lumbers away, shoulders rolling, rump swaying, fading into trees. The silence afterward is louder than the roar itself. You collapse to your knees, breath tearing out of you, hands trembling so hard you nearly drop your rifle. Bill finally exhales, shoulders sagging. He wipes sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. That's luck, he mutters. Luck and respect. Cross him wrong, you'd be meat by now. He kneels, touches the prints the bear left. Deep, round, claws sharp in mud. Remember the rules. Don't run, don't shout, don't stare. Pray he's not hungry. He glances at you, and pray again anyway. Journals speak of trappers mauled in seconds, rifles useless against the bulk. Some claim a lucky shot to the heart or lungs could drop one, but many more write of bullets flattening on thick skulls, of men torn apart before they could reload. Others write of near misses, warning charges like the one you saw, bears teaching lessons without killing. The truth seems to lie in chance as much as skill. The rest of the day you move quieter, every shadow heavier, every sound sharper. You smell musk in phantom whiffs long after the bear has gone. Each broken branch makes your heart leap. Bill says little, though his eyes scan more than before. Rifle held higher. That night, camp feels smaller, fire dimmer. The trees crowd close, and you imagine the bear's bulk slipping between them. You chew pemmican, grease heavy in your mouth, but your stomach twists too tight to enjoy it. Bill sharpens his knife, the rasp loud, steadying. He glances at you once. Fear's good, he says. It keeps you breathing. He spits, tosses a stick into fire. Forget fear, and the mountains bury you. You lie awake long, blanket pulled tight, ears tuned to every snap and sigh. Once you hear a low huff in distance. Your heart surges, body rigid, but no roar follows, no crash of weight, only wind, only night. You breathe again, slow, counting until your body finally eases. At dawn, prints mark the edge of camp, broad, fresh, claws sharp. The bear circled, close, watching. Bill kneels, studies, then spits. He knows we're here. He let us be. He stands, shoulders the pack. Respect him, respect this place, or end up in his belly. His tone is flat, final. You walk on, steps lighter, heart heavier. The image of the bear stays towering, roaring, shadow-swallowing sky. You know now that hunger and cold are not the only trials. The mountains have beasts as old as stone, and you walk their country at their mercy. Survival means not winning, but being spared. You glance back once at the prints, fading in morning sun. The bear is gone, but not truly. He walks in your mind and maybe always will. The trail bends eastward, climbing again through ridges where the trees grow sparse and wind scrapes the skin raw. The sun slips behind grey clouds, leaving the day dim and cold. Bill halts at a saddle between 2 peaks. sets his pack down and scans the horizon as though reading words etched across the sky. No map, he mutters, half to himself. Never had one, don't need one. River's the only map a man needs. You follow his gaze. Below, a silver ribbon winds through the valley, bending, splitting, rejoining like a serpent at rest. Foam glints at bends. Willows mark the banks. From above it seems calm, gentle, but you know its voice, its strength. You feel a strange comfort at the sight. Dangerous as it is, the river promises direction, always downhill, always towards some meeting with another stream, another valley, another chance. Bill crouches, draws with his knife in the dirt a simple line, branching, then branching again. All rivers run east from here, find the Missouri, then the Mississippi. You follow water, you find men. You stray, you find bones. His voice is steady, but the lesson cuts sharp. You watch as he shades one branch with his palm. This one's fast water. Too steep, too quick. Hard to travel. This one, slower, broad, good for canoes. Know the difference. He wipes the sketch away with his sleeve, as if erasing thought. By day the river guides, but by night, Bill says, the sky must take its turn. He waits for darkness, building only a small fire, low enough not to betray smoke. You sit with him, as the stars bleed through cloud. One by one they emerge, scattered silver, patterns half familiar, half mystery. Bill raises a finger to the northern sky. There, he says, North Star, steady as stone, world spins, rivers twist, but that star stays put. Learn it, and you'll never be lost. You follow his finger, find the star faint at first, then clear. It feels like a pin driven into the night, holding the sky in place. He shows you the dipper, the line of stars pointing straight to Polaris. His finger moves to Cassiopeia, then back. His voice is quiet, steady, a teacher's cadence. Some nights clouds cover everything. Then you listen to water. Some nights rivers trick you. Then you trust the sky. Between the two, you'll live. You tilt your head back, neck aching, eyes searching. The longer you stare, the more stars appear. Countless, endless. You feel small, smaller than ever before, as though one breath could scatter you among them. Bill seems unbothered, pipe glowing faint in his mouth, smoke drifting up to join constellations. Journals tell of trappers who travelled hundreds of miles with no compass, only rivers and stars. Some wrote of carrying whole maps in their heads, each bend memorized, each landmark fixed. Others confessed to wandering, lost for weeks until chance or kindness saved them. Letters hint at men who followed the wrong stream, vanished into wilderness, never seen again. You think of those men now, their bones perhaps resting under moss, their eyes last fixed on the same stars. The next day, Bill sets you a task. He halts at a clearing, points at a ridge in the distance. Find it without me, he says. His tone is flat, not challenge but command. He waits, arms crossed. Your chest tightens. But you scan the land. The river lies to the north, broad and slow. The ridge rises east, its slope cut by a pale scar of scree. You mark the angle, glance at the sun's climb, just past noon, leaning west. You breathe, set your path, step forward. Bill follows, silent. The forest closes around you, trails shifting, light broken by branches. You walk careful, choosing lines, checking the sun, keeping the ridge in mind. Doubt claws fast. The trees hide landmarks, the ground dips, the sky vanishes. You think you've veered, lost the angle, sweat beads though the air is cold. Then the trees break. The ridge rises ahead. Closer now, its scree slope glinting pale. Relief floods you, knees weak. Bill steps up beside you, expression unreadable. He nods once, then starts climbing without a word. The nod is enough. At the top, wind whips hard, nearly stealing your breath. The valley sprawls below, river shining, forest stretching endless. Bill points out landmarks. A split in the stream, a stand of dead spruce, a notch in the ridge. Fix them in your head, he says. Make a map here. He taps his temple. Paper burns, memory doesn't. You spend the afternoon naming each point, repeating them until they settle in your mind. The sun drifts, shadows lengthen. The river glows like molten metal in last light. You feel the shape of the land carve itself into you, piece by piece. That night, the stars return. Bill points again, this time asking you to find. You fumble at first, then steadier, tracing lines, finding the North Star, the Dipper, the Arc of Cassiopeia. Pride flickers, small but real. Bill exhales smoke, says nothing, but you catch the corner of his mouth tilt, almost smile. Sleep is uneasy. You dream of rivers twisting like snakes, stars falling like sparks, paths crossing and vanishing. You wake before dawn, the sky pale, the North Star still holding steady. You smile, soft, private. It feels like a friend now, distant but loyal. As you shoulder your pack, Bill mutters, sky'll guide you, river'll carry you, but only if you respect 'em, forget, and both'll turn on you. His words settle deep, heavier than pemmican, sharper than knife. You step onto the trail again. Wind cold, stars fading. The river glimmers faint in morning light. The North Star fading but fixed in memory. Between water and sky you walk, guided not by paper but by patience. Bill crouches nearby, hat brim low, rifle across his knees. His voice is flat, not cruel, but sharp as the air itself. Then you start again. He tosses you the striker and flint. Cold don sit care you sip tired. Cold don sit care you sip tried before. Cold only asks if you can do it again. The cold finds you before the light does. Dawn in the high country carries no mercy, only the weight of frost that stiffens blankets and stiffens joints alike. You wake with teeth aching, lips cracked, every breath a small cloud that drifts and fades in the grey air. The fire from last night is only a smear of ash, pale and lifeless. Your fingers dig through it, desperate, but find nothing, no warmth, no coal, only dust, cold as stone. The silence of that failure feels heavier than the pack on your shoulders. Your hands tremble as you gather tinder. Birch bark curls, papery and pale, peeled from a dead limb, dry moss, brittle from hiding under stones, splinters shaved from a knot of pine, sticky with resin. Each piece smells sharp, sap, dust, the faint sweetness of decay. You build the nest small and fragile, cradling it like something alive, something worth more than gold. Your breath fogs above it, shivering into the morning. The flint rings against steel, a sound that slices through silence. Sparks leap, most vanish, some fall short. You strike again and again, rhythm hardening, knuckles numb. Sparks flare then die, each failure sharper than hunger. Smoke teases once, promising, then disappears. Bill doesn't move, doesn't speak. His silence presses heavier than scolding. You think of home, the flick of a lighter, the twist of a stove knob. Fire at will, fire as servant. Here fire is king, and you are a beggar at its gate. Your breath hitches, chest tight, with fear you try not to name. Finally, one spark lands true. The bark blackens, curls, whispers smoke. You bend low, breath steady, coaxing gently. The ember glows, swells, licks the moss. Flame stirs a thin tongue, faint but real. Relief surges so strong you nearly weep. You feed it twigs, careful, patient, each catch another heartbeat. The flame grows, crackles, brushes heat across your face, a fragile hand against the cold. The fire grows steady, wood snapping, smoke rising into pale dawn. You hold your hands above it, palms burning, pain sweet as salvation. The warmth seeps deep, loosening the lock around your chest. Your lips ease, your breath steadies. You sip coffee black as iron, chew pemmican greasy and sweet. Each swallow pushes the cold back another step. Bill exhales, long and slow. No fire, no life, he says again. And this time the words taste like truth instead of lesson. Bill squats across the fire, pokes coals with a stick. Fire's more than heat, he says. It dries your clothes, scares beasts, boils water clean. It gives men courage when they've none left. His eyes catch flame, orange burning in grey. Lose it in winter, you don't wake. I've buried men who thought a blanket could replace fire. Dirt covers him quick. The words sink deep. You stare at the flame until your vision blurs, realizing how thin the line is between smoke and silence, between breath and stillness. Later, Bill scatters the fire, smothers it with earth, hands you the tools. Again, he says. His voice offers no room to protest. You kneel, fingers raw, strike, coax, fail, strike again. This time the ember clings quicker. Your hands still shake, but the flame rises. You grin despite the sting of smoke. Bill nods once, approval small but heavy. Journals speak of trappers who never struck flint for weeks, carrying embers hidden in fungus, tucked into buffalo chips, glowing in leather pouches as they walked. Some wrote of charcoal wrapped in deerskin, carried days, coaxed alive with a single breath. Others confessed sparks failed half the time. Storms soaked every scrap of tinder. Cold froze their fingers before flame caught. Truth bends both ways. You can keep fire, or you can lose it in a breath. That night, rain needles the hide walls, steady and cruel. Bill kneels in mud, splits logs with his axe, shows you the secret. The heartwood inside, still dry though the outside drowns. He shaves thin curls, resin glistening, smell sharp and almost sweet. He sprinkles dust of punkwood, the rotten wood that smoulders instead of burns. Sparks fall, smoke rises, flame stutters, coughs, then grows. You will, the sting of wet bark under your knife, the smell of resin on your hands, the hiss of rain on flame. They burn into you deeper than frost. Fire is never given, only earned. You try, fumbling. The first nest too thick, smothering itself. The second too thin, dying before it breathes. On the third attempt, flame clings, weak, trembling, but alive. You huddle close, rain hissing on coals, steam curling from your leggings. The heat is fragile, but enough to dry socks, enough to push frost from your fingers. Bill sits across, hat dripping, eyes steady. Cold teaches harder than I can, he says. But you'll remember. You shoulder your pack. Glance back at the fire one last time. Smoke curls upward, carrying more than heat. It carries memory, courage, proof. You know now that fire is more than survival. It is defiance against cold, silence against despair. The mountains can strip you bare, but as long as you can strike spark to tinder, you carry tomorrow in your hands. At dawn, the rain eases, leaving earth soggy, trees dripping. You uncover the banked coals, find them still glowing faintly. You coax them with breath, add curls of wood, and flame returns. That moment, life reborn from yesterday's ashes, sends warmth through you stronger than the fire itself. Bill watches, pipe smoke curling into dawn. Now you're worth the powder I carry, he mutters. His words are rough, but they warm you as much as the flame. And in that fragile flame, you feel something older than hunger, older than fear, a promise handed down from every man who ever crouched over coals and blew life into smoke. A promise that as long as fire answers, you will endure. The morning carries a sharp bite. The air is thin and crisp with pine needles brittle under your boots. The storm is past, but the memory of cold still clings, nipping at your fingers, stiffening your joints. Bill leads you into a small clearing where the ground is trampled and the smell of animals lingers, musky and sour. He halts, turns, and unhooks the rifle slung across his back. His voice, when it comes, is slow even, as though carving words into stone. Meat sip's no good if you can sit take it. Fire keeps you alive through the night. The rifle keeps you alive through the season. Time you learn. He hands you the long gun. It is heavier than you expect, the stock darkened by sweat and years of oil. The iron barrel smells faintly of powder, sharp and bitter, a scent that seems to sink into your skin. You grip it awkwardly, the wood cold against your palms. Bill watches, face unreadable. First, the horn. He unstraps a curved container carved from cow horn, polished smooth, capped with wood. The powder horn. He shakes it once. Inside, the black grains whisper, dry and dangerous. He tips it, pours a measure into a small brass charger, then into your hand. The grains are tiny, rough, like coarse sand. They smell of sulphur, acrid, the scent biting your nose. Don't waste it. Powder's life. Each shot costs trade. You tip the grains down the barrel, feel them trickle like dry rain, hear them hiss as they settle. Bill nods. Now Patch. From his pouch he pulls a square of greased cloth, stiff with tallow, edges frayed. He lays a lead ball on it, round, dull grey, heavy for its size. Patch keeps the seal. Without it, shots weak, wasted. He sets the ball in the cloth, places it over the muzzle. With his short starter he taps it down, cloth folding around the ball, edges biting into rifling. He hands you the ramrod. Seat it firm, not too hard. You feel it? That solid stop? That sep's right. You push the rod, the ball scraping down the barrel. The sound grates, a hollow metallic groan. At last it meets the powder with a muted thud. You withdraw the rod, breath shallow, arms trembling with effort. Bill takes the rifle, checks the prime, sprinkles fine powder into the pan. The smell sharpens, makes your nose wrinkle. He snaps the frizzen shut. Now she's ready. His tone holds weight, respect, almost reverence. He hands it back to you. You raise the rifle, awkward at first, stock heavy against your shoulder. The sights line with your eye, the world narrowing to a notch, a bead, the shadow of a stump across the clearing. Your hands sweat, though the air is cold. Bill's voice is quiet, steady behind you. Don't jerk, don't rush. Breathe slow, squeeze. You exhale, finger tightens, trigger breaks. The hammer falls, steel strikes flint. Sparks leap, the flash in the pan bursts bright. A sting of sulphur in your face, and then the roar. Smoke erupts, thick, white, blinding. The recoil slams your shoulder, rough, heavy, nearly buckling your knees. The stump jumps as lead smacks it, bark splintering. The smoke drifts slow, sour, clinging to your clothes, your hair, your lungs. Your ears ringed, chest thunders. You lower the rifle, coughing. Bill nods once. Not bad. His approval is thin but real. He makes you do it again. And again. Each step repeated, powder poured, patch wrapped, ball seated, ramrod firm, pan primed. Each time the motions grow sure, less clumsy. The smell of sulphur thickens around you until your nose feels coated with it, bitter and hot. Your fingers blacken, stained with powder, nails edged dark. Your shoulder bruises, tender with every shot. Bill watches, correcting with few words. Powder before ball. Ram straight. Don't leave air. Each phrase cuts, short, and final. Journals tell of trappers carrying only a dozen balls, powder horns guarded closer than bread. Some wrote of bartering a single shot for a meal. Others of wasting one in panic and starving after. Letters speak of patched balls biting into rifling, giving accuracy at distance, but only if loaded true. Missteps meant misfires. Misfires meant death. You feel those words now. Every grain of powder precious. Every squeeze of trigger a gamble. By midday your arms ache, palms raw. You drink from the creek. Water bitter cold. Smoke still in your throat. Bill joins you, sits, cleans his rifle with slow care. He runs a greased cloth down the barrel, pulls it free black with soot. Never forget to clean, he mutters. Rifles no good clogged. Seen men lose fingers when powder finds cracks. He sets the weapon aside, glances at you. Powder horn, patched ball, steady hand. That sits meat in the pot. Danger kept at bay. He spits into the dirt. Without it, you sit just walking bones, waiting for dirt. The lesson burns as deep as the sulphur sting in your lungs. That evening, you sit by the fire, rifle across your knees, running cloth down barrel as Bill showed. The smoke of the day still clings to you, sharp, acrid, refusing to leave. You chew pemmican slow, grease mixing with powder taste on your tongue, bitter and heavy. Bill smokes his pipe, eyes on the stars, saying nothing. In the quiet, you turn the rifle over in your hands. The wood feels less foreign now, the iron warmer. You think of it not just as tool, but as covenant. Each shot a promise you make to yourself to live another day, to endure another night. You set it aside gently, almost with reverence. Fire crackles, coals glow, stars wheel overhead. Sleep comes heavy, dreams thick with smoke and thunder. You wake once in the night to Bill's low snore, rifle still within arm's reach. The mountain watches, indifferent, but you feel less naked now, less fragile. Powder horn, patched ball, spark and smoke. These are no longer just words, but weight in your hands, memory in your bones. Tents sprawl across the meadow like a patched quilt. Canvas white, hides brown, blankets red and blue. Smoke pillars rise, twisting into sky. Men move everywhere, some in buckskin stiff with dirt, some in coats traded from forts, patched and stained. They gather in knots, trading, boasting, singing, fighting, hugging. The place hums like a hive, swollen with honey and danger both. Bill stops at the edge, eyes scanning. His jaw sets tight. Crowds eat a man faster than cold, he mutters. Keep your purse close, your mouth closed. He pats your shoulder once, then strides down into the chaos. You follow, heart-hammering, senses flooded. The valley opens like a wound in the mountains, wide and bright after so many days in timber. The air smells of smoke long before you see it. A dozen fires blending, wood and grease and fur. Then the sound comes, laughter, shouts, the crack of rifle fire in sport, the bray of mules, dogs barking, pots clanging. You crest the ridge and look down, and there it is, the rendezvous. A trader's table sprawls with goods, powder horns carved with etchings, knives bright with polish, kettles and tin cups stacked high, piles of beads glitter, scarlet and blue, next to ribbons bright as autumn. Fur bundles lie stacked like small walls, beaver pelts folded, elk hides stretched, fox tails dangling. The smell is sharp, smoke, sweat, tallow, musk. Bill pushes through steady, sets a bundle of beaver on the table. The trader eyes the fur, fingers the guard hairs, nods. Prime, he says. He tosses a pouch of powder, a coil of lead, a tin of coffee. Bill takes them without smile, without thanks. Fair, he mutters, then turns away. A man with a French lilt shouts prices, voice booming, powder for pelts, coffee, sugar, whiskey. His smile is wide, but his eyes cut sharp, counting every hand. Men crowd, thrusting pelts, arguing, laughing too loud. One slams a jug onto the table, liquor sloshing. Another staggers, already drunk, roaring a song about rivers and women. You sit silent, listening. Smoke curls around you, thick, bitter. The fire pops, sparks drift. Your belly aches for real food, and soon a plate is thrust into your hands. Stew thick with elk, grease slick on top, meat stringy but rich. You eat fast, nearly burning your mouth. Bill only shakes his head, mutters, slow, or you'll regret it come night. Bill drags you toward a fire where old trappers sit. Faces like leather, hair tangled with beads. They smoke long pipes, tell stories in voices rough as gravel. One speaks of a winter in the Yellowstone, snow 10 feet deep, only beaver tail and coffee keeping him alive. Another laughs, showing a scar across his cheek, claiming it came from a jealous husband, not a bear as others said. They trade lies as easily as pelts. You linger, wide-eyed. Everywhere, life spills wild. A pair of men wrestle in the dirt, laughing, teeth flashing. A fiddle scrapes a tune sharp and high, joined by a drum beaten on a keg. Women move among the crowd, some native, some from distant towns, dresses patched but eyes bright. Children dart through legs, shrieking, clutching bits of bread. The air is thick with sound, smell, motion, so much that your head spins. As night falls, fires multiply. Whiskey jugs pass hand to hand, voices rise, songs echo off the hills. You sit close to the flames, blanket over shoulders, rifle within reach. Bill smokes, eyes scanning the crowd, never relaxing fully. He nudges you once, points to a circle where men dance, boots stomping, hands clapping, a fiddle soaring fast. Watch, that's what trade buys one night where men forget the cold. A group of young men fire rifles at targets pinned to trees, shots cracking, smoke rolling, bets are shouted, coins changing hands. One man loads too fast, powder spilling, ball rammed crooked, the gun misfires, smoke puffing weak. The crowd roars with laughter, the man scowls, slams his hat to the ground. Bill mutters low, "That's how men lose fingers." You nod, lesson fresh in your bones. Some journals speak of rendezvous as festivals, whiskey flowing, games of shooting, races, dances lasting till dawn. Others describe them as markets, brutal and sharp, where fortunes made in pelts vanished in a week of drink. Both ring true here. You see laughter and fistfights in the same breath, songs and curses sharing air. Later, as the night deepens, you lie back on the ground, head on your pack. The sky blazes with stars above, but their light is swallowed by fire and smoke. The noise never fades. Shouts, songs, laughter, the ring of steel, the hiss of drink poured. It feels both safe and dangerous, too full and too hollow at once. But even in laughter, tension lingers. Across the fire you see two men shouting, faces red, fists clenched, a knife flashes. Others rush in, drag them apart, curses flying. The fire pops, shadows leap. Bill exhales smoke. Crowds, he mutters again. Bill sits beside you, pipe dim, voice low. This is the only time men see each other. Trade what they can sit make. Pelts for powder, beads for hides, lies for truth. By morning, half sit be broke, some sit be dead, and all sit be walk back into the mountains like ghosts. You close your eyes, the noise swirling around, the fire's warmth on your face. The smell of grease, smoke and whiskey fills your lungs. You drift towards sleep with the sound of fiddles sharp in your ears, laughter fading into dream. The rendezvous is both feast and warning, a place where men come alive for a breath, then vanish again into cold silence. Tomorrow you will too. The night at the rendezvous does not end so much as blur, firelight fading into mist. Men sleep where they fall, sprawled across hides and blankets, rifles propped in the dirt beside them. The smell of whiskey hangs thick in the air, sharp enough to sting your nose even as you doze. Dogs roam restless, snapping at scraps, growling at shadows beyond the circle of tents. Somewhere, a fiddle wheezes its last tune before sputtering into silence. You lie under your blanket, your eyes half shut, your body tired, but your mind refusing rest. The noise of men lingers, a snore here, a mutter there, someone moaning in drunken dream. The fires are mostly coals now, their smoke low and heavy, clinging to the ground like fog. The whole valley hums with that uneasy quiet that comes when too many men sleep too hard. Toward dawn, the silence sharpens. The dogs stiffen first, their hackles rising. One growls deep, throat rattling like a drum. Another whines, then snaps at the mist as if biting something unseen. You roll onto your elbow, heart quick. Bill is already awake, crouched by the dead fire. pipe unlit, rifle across his knees. He jerks his chin toward the ridge. Through the mist, shapes appear. 3 figures, tall and lean, braids heavy with dew, feathers limp from damp. They move with the patience of men who know they are seen but do not care. Crow. Their steps are steady, deliberate, not sneaking, not rushing. Their silence carries more weight than shouting could. One lifts his hand, palm open. Bill rises, mirrors the gesture, then walks forward slow. You follow a few paces behind, rifle closed, stomach tight. The crows speak in low voices, syllables rough, consonants clipped. You catch fragments only, but enough to knot your gut. Blackfoot. Many ridge, soon. One sweeps his arm west, hand chopping down as though splitting the air. His eyes are sharp, dark, carrying a warning older than language. Bill listens, face carved from stone. He says little, only nods, once, twice. At last he unties a twist of tobacco from his pouch, sets it in the open palm of the leader. The crow accept, no smiles, no warmth, only a curt dip of the head. Then they fade back into fog, their shapes swallowed by mist until you cannot tell man from shadow. The silence they leave behind is louder than their words. Bill returns, pipe still unlit, shoulders rigid. Blackfoot war party, he says. His voice is gravel, stripped bare. Crows say they sip, moving east. Could be a day, could be an hour. Camp sips too fat, too loud. If they come, half these men one sip wake at all. You glance around. Most trappers still snore, bodies sprawled across blankets. One rolls over, mutters, smacks his lips, dreaming of whiskey or women. Another stumbles up, swaying, fumbling with his breeches, drunk even now. Only a handful are awake, tending low fires, boiling bitter coffee. The rest sleep heavy, unaware of the shadow tightening around them. Fear floods you, sharp as hunger. The thought of Blackfoot warriors slipping through timber, bows strung, rifles primed, sends sweat across your back despite the chill. You picture arrows in the dark, men cut down before they rise. Bill kneels, calm as stone, checks his horn, his pouch, his rifle. Each motion is precise, steady, practiced. He wipes the frizzen with a rag, pours fresh prime, closes it with a click. Then he looks up, eyes narrow, pack light, keep only what you can carry, rests dead weight. His voice leaves no room for hesitation. And keep your mouth shut. News spreads, men panic. Panic kills faster than bullets. You obey. Your blanket rolls tight with fumbling hands. Your pouch stuffed with pemmican, tinder, flint. Your hands shake so bad you drop the striker once. Bill doesn't comment, only watches. His calm steadies you more than words could. By midday, the rumor has spread anyway. It leaks through camp like smoke under a door. First whispers, tracks on the ridge, moccasins pressed deep in mud, then louder stories. A scout glimpsed shapes in trees. A hunter swore he heard a war cry at dawn. Fear grows like fire in dry grass. Voices sharpen, men check their rifles twice, knives gleam in nervous hands. Whiskey jugs are drained faster, laughter louder, as if noise itself could banish the thought of danger. You watch faces change. Men who roared songs last night now whisper, eyes darting to the west. Others pretend indifference, cards slapping, bets shouted too loud. The tension hums, hummingbird quick, everywhere. Bill says little. He checks your priming, adjusts the patch in your pouch, taps the strap of your pack to test its weight. His silence says more than his words could be ready. Journals tell of such nights. One man wrote of a raid at dawn, trappers still drunk, half naked, cut down before they could lift rifles. Another claimed Blackfoot circled for days, never striking, letting fear do the work of arrows. Letters speak of crow scouts warning one camp, yet watching another burn. You believe all of it. That evening the camp changes. Fires burn lower, laughter dies. Men gather in knots, eyes west, rifles near. A few pack quietly, slipping away before dark, unwilling to gamble. The valley feels smaller, the ridges higher, shadows stretching long like spears. Bill crouches by a thin fire, face lit sharp. His voice is low, meant for you alone. If they come, don't stand in the open. Find cover. Fire once, then move. Don't freeze. Don't waste powder. Every shot's dearer than silver. His eyes lock on yours, hard, steady. Remember, fear makes men blind. Don't let it blind you. Night drops fast, heavy as a blanket. The camp grows hushed, save for the nervous cough of dogs, the hiss of damp logs. You lie curled, rifle clutched, eyes wide in the dark. Every sound is louder. The creak of leather, the crack of a branch, the sigh of wind. Sleep never comes, only waiting, long and raw. Once you hear it, a faint chuff, like breath too close. You freeze, lungs locked, finger tight on the trigger. The dogs growl, low, the camp stirs, men shifting, one whispering a curse. But no war cry follows, no arrows whistle, only silence again, heavier than before. Dawn bleeds slow, mist lifts from the meadow, pale and cold. No raid, no bodies, only tired men with hollow eyes, some laughing too loud at their own fear, others scowling, muttering. A few spit into the dirt, pretending they never believed. But everyone walks sharper, rifles carried tighter. The air tastes different now, like smoke that will not leave. Bill shoulders his pack, pipe still unlit. Crow don't warn for nothing, he mutters. Better to walk than wait. He strides toward the ridge, not looking back. You follow, legs stiff, stomach sour. You glance once over your shoulder. The rendezvous smoulders, fires guttering. Men shouting, deals still struck as if nothing changed. But in the west the ridges loom darker, and you feel it in your bones. Danger walks there, unseen but certain. Survival is not just hunger or cold. It is listening when shadows whisper, knowing when to leave before the fire finds you. The rendezvous fades behind you, its smoke trailing thin fingers into morning sky, its noise swallowed by distance. What lingers is not the sound of fiddles or the smell of whiskey, but the weight of whispers carried on crow tongues. Blackfoot waiting in ridges, eyes sharper than rifles. Bill walks ahead, long strides steady, pack drawn tight, rifle slung close. You follow, legs heavy, ears ringing with a silence that feels fuller than any noise. The trail climbs out of the valley, cutting through timber that sighs in dawn wind. Each step sinks into damp earth, the ground still wet from last night's rain. Behind you, faint echoes drift. Gunshots fired in sport, men shouting bargains. But already the camp feels like another world, a place of smoke and lies, where pelts turn to powder, beads turn to promises, and danger turn to laughter too loud. You leave it, but it does not leave you. Bill halts at a ridge, scans the horizon. His face is stone, unreadable, but his eyes never stop moving. Left, right, west, always west. You kneel beside him, trying to see what he sees. Hills roll into distance, river cutting silver, forests thick with shadow. To you it is only wilderness, endless and hungry. To him it is map, memory, warning. He spits once, adjusts his hat, and moves on. The day stretches slow. Hunger gnaws, steady but dull, answered by pemmican chewed to paste, grease thick in your mouth. Smoke taste lingers still, from fires and rifles alike. Your legs ache, shoulders groan under pack weight, but you keep on. Bill speaks little, only gestures now and then, pointing at tracks where elk crossed, scat where bear fed, scratches high on a pine where claws raked bark. Lessons never stop, even on the march. At midday you pause by a creek, water cold, clean, biting your teeth when you drink. Bill kneels, washes powder-blackened hands, scrubs his face, breathes deep. River carries you, he says, eyes following current. But only if you listen. Same with men. Same with danger. Don't listen, and both will drown you. His voice is low, but the words stay. The forest thickens as afternoon falls. You hear little, just the hush of wind, the crack of branches underfoot, the rush of blood in your ears. Every shadow feels like eyes. You glance often, rifle heavy in your arms, flint sharp. Bill never breaks stride, calm as stone, yet his hand hovers closer to Powderhorn than before. Journals speak of such roads home. Trappers walking east with packs, heavy, pelts bound, hearts tight with fear of raids. Some wrote of ambushes sprung sudden, men cut down before they drew breath. Others spoke of lucky journeys, empty trails, shadows, only shadows. Letters hint that most who survived never trusted the silence again. You think of those words with each step, each glance over shoulder. By evening, you find a hollow ringed with fur. Bill signals halt. You set camp small. No grand fire, only coals banked, smoke kept thin. You eat cold pemmican, grease heavy, berries sharp. The taste sits like stone in your gut. The silence presses close. Even the dogs, trailing behind, lie down quiet, ears twitching but mouths shut. Bill sits cross-legged, pipe unlit, eyes fixed west. "You're never safe here," he says, almost to himself. "Only lucky." Men fool themselves thinking these valleys forgive. They don't. They just let you pass. He taps his pipe against boot, lays it aside. His words settle heavier than stone. Night deepens. Stars prick the sky, steady and countless. You find the North Star, steady as always, the only friend that doesn't waver. You lie back, rifle within reach, blanket damp with dew. Sleep comes in fragments. Dreams of fires, of elk trails, of eyes watching from ridges. You wake often, staring into dark, ears straining for footsteps that never come. At dawn, you rise sore but alive. Bill already stands, scanning horizon. His nod is small, but it means the night was kind. You eat another lump of pemmican, swallow bitter coffee boiled black, pack your blanket. The trail stretches on, eastward, away from rendezvous, away from whispers. The mountains still watch. Hunger still waits. Danger still lingers in shadows. But you feel different, heavier, sharper. Each skill carried with you now, fire-banked, rifle-loaded, traps carved, pemmican sealed, river red, stars fixed. They are not comforts, but they are tools, and tools are all the frontier gives. As you step onto the trail, smoke fading behind you, you realize that survival here is not a single battle won. It is 1,000 small choices, repeated each dawn, each dusk, fire coaxed from sparks, food earned from death, shelter raised from poles, danger respected when it stares from ridge. Every day begins at 0, and every day ends only if you prove worthy. You walk east, the road quiet but never safe, the world wide but never empty. Bill walks ahead, steady, silent, his back a wall against fear. You follow, step after step, carrying more than pack or rifle. You carry the lessons burned into you as permanent as scars. And for now, that is enough. If you enjoy these stories, a like or subscription truly makes a difference. It's a wonderful way to support this channel, and me personally. So if you feel inclined, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. The trail bends down into low country, where grass grows waist-high and wind moves it in slow waves, silver under the morning sun. Behind you, the mountains rear jagged, their ridges black against the sky, already seeming like another lifetime. You keep glancing back, half expecting smoke, half expecting riders on the skyline, but nothing follows, only the silence of distance. Bill walks ahead, his back bent under the pack, rifle across his arm. He does not look behind. His eyes search only forward, scanning each bend in the valley, each rise in the trail. Eyes ahead, he mutters once without turning. If they're behind, you can't stop them. If they're ahead, maybe you can. The land feels open, exposed. You hear your own steps too loud, the scrape of your pack straps, the slosh of your water gourd. Wind carries scents. Smoke faint to the west, pine sharper from the north, damp earth rising under sun. Every smell feels like a warning, every sound a sign. At midday you cross a creek, shallow but quick, its bed scattered with stones round as skulls. Bill crouches, scoops water in his hands, drinks slow. You kneel beside, cupping the flow, letting cold bite your teeth. When you rise, Bill points to mud near the bank. The print is clear, moccasin, narrow, pressed deep, edges sharp. Not elk, not deer, not your own, human, recent. Your stomach knots. Crow, you whisper. Bill shakes his head, jaw set. Too wide, too many, Blackfoot. His voice is calm, but his hand tightens on rifle. He squats, brushes dirt with fingers, reads the ground as if it were a book. 10, maybe more. Moving east, his eyes flick to you. Same as us. Fear prickles sharp as nettle. The air feels thinner. You grip your rifle tighter, knuckles pale. Bill stands, shoulders his pack. We move, quiet. The hours crawl. Every ridge seems too still, every tree too watchful. Once you hear a raven croak overhead, harsh and sharp. Bill stops, listens, eyes narrowed. Scouts use birds sometimes. He mutters, hard to know if it's Sep's warning or chance. Best treat it as both. You walk faster, feet sore, throat dry. Hunger gnaws, but you dare not stop long. You chew pemmican as you walk, grease thick, berries sour. It fills but does not comfort. The trail twists through willows, their branches brushing your face, their shadows shifting. You expect eyes in every thicket, arrows in every gust of wind. As dusk settles, you reach a hollow ringed by cottonwoods. Bill halts, studies the ground, then nods. Here, fire small, no smoke. You gather twigs, brittle, dry. The flame you coax is faint, no higher than your palm. You crouch close, warming hands, staring into the little light as if it alone holds the night back. Bill eats cold, gnawing rabbit jerky from his pouch. He chews slow, eyes never leaving the dark. Crow gave warning, he says. Could have been a trick. Could have been truth. Don't matter. Out here you believe every word, safer that way. He spits, wipes his mouth. Men die from doubt faster than arrows. The night stretches long. You lie under blanket, rifle across chest, eyes open. The stars shine sharp, the North Star steady as always. But even its constancy cannot quiet your nerves. Once you hear brush crack, heart leaping. Bill is already awake, rifle lifted, eyes sharp. Minutes pass. Nothing stirs but wind. Still you do not sleep again. At dawn, frost paints grass silver. Bill wakes you with a grunt. Already packed. Ready. East, he mutters. Keep moving. The day grinds on. Hills rise, valleys fall. Your legs ache. Throat rasps. The pemmican grows harder to swallow, grease-coating tongue. But you push. Bill teaches still, even in silence, how to angle uphill to save strength, how to read shadows for time, how to place each step on stone so it doesn't ring loud. By afternoon you find another sign. Ashes cold but fresh. A fire ring, small. Careful. Bill kneels, touches coals, shakes his head. 2 nights old. They move fast. His eyes narrow. We're close enough to smell their smoke if the wind turns. He straightens, gestures forward. We keep east. Fear becomes rhythm. Every step is tension. Every glance over shoulder weight. You see shadows move where none do. Hear whispers in wind, yet no attack comes. Perhaps they pass elsewhere. Perhaps they wait. Survival is not certainty, only endurance. That night you camp in timber. Fire hidden under rock, smoke choked down to nothing. Bill sits with rifle across knees, pipe cold in his hand. He does not speak. The silence grows so thick you feel you might choke on it. You chew pemmican in small bites, barely tasting. In journals some wrote of this: long roads east after rendezvous, eyes over shoulder, hearts racing at shadows. Some told of ambushes that never came, of fear heavier than hunger. Others told of sudden death, arrows at dawn, rifles flashing. The truth is always both. You live with it either way. When sleep comes, it is shallow, restless. You dream of moccasins pressed in mud, of ravens calling overhead, of eyes in shadows. You wake often, hand clutching rifle, breath ragged. Each time Bill sits still, silent, a shape darker than dark, watching. Dawn comes pale, cold, but alive. You rise, body aching, heart pounding. Another day east, another chance, another lesson that survival is not victory, only endurance stretched across miles. The land flattens as you move east, mountains fading into ridges, ridges into rolling hills, trees thin, grass rises. The horizon stretches wider than you've ever seen. The wind never stops here. It combs the fields, bends the grass, carries the smell of earth and smoke and distance. After weeks of rock and timber, the openness feels strange, as though you've stepped onto a stage with no curtain. Your legs ache with every step, shoulders raw from pack straps, feet blistered from miles. Yet you keep moving because there is no choice. Bill walks ahead, steady as always, though his limp has grown worse. His breath heavier. Still, he does not complain. He only says east, and you follow. The sky burns wide at sunset, red and gold spilling across clouds, shadows stretching long. You pause at a ridge and look back. Far behind, mountains rear jagged, already bluish with distance, their peaks pale as bone. For a moment you feel small, fragile, caught between what you left and what waits ahead. You think of fire coaxed from sparks, pemmican pressed heavy in rawhide, traps balanced on sticks, rivers red by foam and seam, stars steady above. All of it carried with you, not in hands, but in bone. Bill halts, sets his pack down, crouches to rub his knee. He doesn't look up when he speaks. Every mile teaches, every mile takes. You're still here, so you're learning. His voice is rough, softer than usual, almost weary. You nod, though your throat is too tight to answer. That night you make camp in a stand of cottonwoods, branches whispering in wind. The fire is small, smoke thin. You chew pemmican slow, its taste familiar now, almost comforting in its grease and grit. Bill smokes his pipe, eyes fixed on the coals. For once he tells a story, not of raids or storms, but of a boyhood in the east, a river near his father's farm, fishing with worms dug from garden soil. His voice carries a nostalgia you've never heard before, and for a moment he feels less like stone, more like flesh. You listen, warmed by both fire and story. You realize survival is not only hunger and danger, it is also memory. Shared in low voice, carried across years like embers banked under ash. The morning comes pale, sky soft, frost white on grass. You wake stiff but alive, rifle beside you, pack ready. Bill is already standing, pipe cold, eyes east. He gestures, and you shoulder your load. The trail stretches forward, endless but steady. Midday, you pass through a valley where buffalo once roamed. Bones scatter pale in grass, ribs arched like wrecks of ships. Some are old, bleached hollow, others still smell faint, dark with marrow. Bill kneels, touches one, shakes his head. Plains are changing, he mutters. Men take faster than the land can give, won't last. His tone is not anger, not sorrow, just truth. You walk on, crunching bone underfoot. The sound lingers in your ears, brittle, final. Later you climb a rise and see smoke far off. Thin columns rising, perhaps from cabins, perhaps from camps. The sight stirs something in you. Hope and unease tangled together. East means people. East means trade, warmth, walls. East means you will not be alone. But East also means choices, demands, ties you no longer know how to carry. Bill sees it too. He exhales smoke from his pipe. Slow. That sits where men forget. He says. They trade pelts for rum, tools for trinkets, stories for silence. Mountains strip you bare, but towns drown you quiet. He glances at you, eyes steady. Choose which death you want. The words strike deep. You walk in silence after. Wind loud in grass. The horizon glows with afternoon light. The smoke still faint, waiting. By dusk you camp again close to water. Frogs croak, reeds sway, stars prick early. You light a fire, coaxing it with practiced hands, and the flame rises quicker than ever before. The motion feels less like struggle, more like memory, familiar, steady, sure. Bill nods once, approving. Now it's yours, he says. Fire's yours, not mine. You chew pemmican again, greasy, gritty, but no longer hateful. The food that once felt like punishment now feels like promise, dense, steady, survival pressed into every bite. You realize hunger is no longer master, only companion. Night stretches soft, not cruel. You lie back, blanket pulled close, stars sharp overhead. You find the North Star quick, eyes trained, comfort in its steadiness. You think of rivers, of elk trails, of smoke from hides, of the growl of a bear fading into timber. Each memory feels carved, permanent, lessons burned deeper than scars. Bill sleeps beside the fire, snoring low. You watch him a long time, his face lined, weathered, softened by glow. You wonder if he dreams of rivers east, of farms long gone, or if his dreams belong only to mountains. The fire pops, coals glowing red, wind sighs through grass. You close your eyes, breath slowing, body sinking. The road east waits. But for now, here in the quiet, you feel not safe, but steady, alive. Now the road fades behind your eyes. The weight of the pack, the burn of powder smoke, the bite of frost, all of it loosens, softens, dissolves. You are no longer on ridges or riverbanks. You are only here in stillness, warm under blankets, safe in your breath. The fire you coaxed from sparks is steady now, glowing gentle. Its smoke no longer stings but drifts like memory, thin and sweet. Each breath you take feeds it. Slow, calm, easy, you feel the warmth spread through your chest, through your arms, through your hands. The ache leaves your body one joint at a time. Outside, the mountains fade to shadow. The rivers quiet, the ridges dissolve into mist. Their lessons remain, patience, respect, endurance, but their sharp edges blur. You are carried east, not by fear, not by hunger, but by calm. Your breath slows. Deeper now. In, out. In, out. The rhythm steady as a river, steady as the stars. Your shoulders sink. Your jaw unclenches. The world outside slips away, fading into silence. You are safe now. Safe in warmth, safe in stillness, safe in the dark that cradles rather than threatens. The journey is behind you, the road already walked. Nothing hunts you here, nothing waits in shadows, only quiet, only rest. The fire dims to coals, then to glow, then to nothing, but the warmth remains. It lingers in your chest, in your breath, in your bones. You are safe. The journey is done. The night holds you gently. Sweet dreams,